how they say it's not the destination, it's the journey?
And the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And you know what?
They're right.
Five regions across the world have already crowned their champions for Stage 1. We've already locked in most of our participants for LAN in a couple months. Space Station, G2, FearX, Weibo, and Enterprise have all claimed championships for at least this stage in their respective regions, and now that means the only frontier we have left to fully lock in is South America. Welcome to the grand finals of the Rainbow Six South America League. I'm Jacob. He's Fresh, he's Alfama. Ultimately, Jack, we've been waiting for this for 6 weeks, but it's finally here. We now get to figure out once and for all, after this last stretch of competition, who the best in South America really is.
We've crowned a lot of champions, especially, these past 3 or 4 days in terms of the APAC leagues finalizing, EML finalizing the last week as well. We crowned a lot of champions, but they're champions of inferior regions, Jacob. The champion of SAL is ultimately the champion of the best region on Earth.
I'm not gonna dispute that, Leo. Ultimately, if they did just continue to win everything, then it's going to take someone else finally knocking them off the pedestal, but someone's got to at least get first place this stage before we really know how the rest of the world is gonna shake out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been witnessing some many surprises. I think Oceania gave us a surprise with Enterprise. I think EML gave us a surprise with G2. They hadn't been looking that good since a long time. Same thing for NA. Space Station didn't win a stage in a long time as well. So we've had a lot of surprise in every key region. The question is, can anyone dethrone FaZe after so many consecutive stages of being the first in Brazil? That's my biggest question right now.
There was a big stretch where it was Furia dominating the entire region, and then FaZe took that banner and has been running with it for quite some time, which means it's a pretty simple agenda for the day. Only one match, one best of 3 to figure out who in South America claims what some might call just an honorific title, but it also means more SI points ultimately, which you could call the bigger bounty coming from this, Leo, because the prize pool is nice, being able to say that you were first in the region is nice, but you need the lion's share of SI points considering there are not very many opportunities to earn them this year.
You're playing for so much because the minimum you have right now is 150 points. That's great. That's amazing. But you can double that right now. And that means a lot. That means a lot because last year at Six Invitational, the last few teams that managed to get invited had just that. They had 300 points. That's going to be really important for them. Not only that, the confidence of being the Brazilian champions, the champions of the best region in the world. That's a second thing. And going into it, to the multiple international events with that confidence is also key. So I think overall they're playing for a lot during this grand final.
Jack, are you done with your coughing fit? Just want to double check on you, buddy.
I am done.
You okay?
I'm chilling. I'm chilling.
Where's your cough button, Jack?
I'm glad that Leo can yap for a little bit because he helped me out there.
No, it worked out. The SI points bounty, just from your overall perspective, Jack, there have been some teams that have missed out on being able to go to the big dance, but that was also before there were qualifiers, or in some cases there just weren't qualifiers in some years. They've now been brought back. If a team doesn't qualify through points, it's not the end of the world, but you still want to win this game pretty badly if you're either FaZe or Furia.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's 2 things at stake here. The first thing that's at stake is, of course, the SI points, and we've seen how important that they ultimately become. We saw Team BDS ultimately 2 or 3 years ago miss out because they were a few SI points short. So whilst it might seem meaningless, whilst it might seem months away, the Six Invitational, it matters now, and the outcome of this game could have a huge impact. We don't know, obviously there's going to be changes with the amount of teams that are invited on points because of regional finals and the major winner being invited, etc, etc. We don't know where the bar is yet, but we know that SI points are massively, massively important. The second thing really is it's about pride. It's about being the winner. It's about being the champion of Brazil. And I'd actually argue maybe for some of these players, especially on FaZe and Furia, that is much more important. FaZe pride themselves that they are the best team in Brazil and have been the best team in Brazil for a long time. And Furia are now going to be the challengers to that, despite the fact that Furia won the most recent international event.
That pride is something that matters a lot to teams in Brazil. So Ike did a quick breakdown on just what it's like when you win a grand final in your home region with the entire world watching.
Hey guys, Ike here one more time, your analyst from the Brazilian channels. Hey, you hear that sound? Relax, it's not a planted C4. That, my friends, is the countdown to find out who's taking home the symbolic title of the first split of SAL 2025. It's been a while since we had a proper final, right? I mean, ever since the BR Premier Finals back in 2024, it's been over 7 months without a showdown like this in a regional league. Now, if you still think this ain't a big deal, let me remind you that Grand Finals have always been a big tradition in Brazilian Siege. Okay, I know SAL is a continental league, but our main point of reference for regional championships has always been the BR6, the Brasileirão. And that's why I am here to give you a quick recap of the champs who made history in that iconic tournament. You can see a huge rivalry dominating Brazilian Siege. On one side, Cavalaria with 3 titles. On the other, FaZe Clan with 2, quickly creeping up on Team Liquid. If you count each BR6 split as an actual title, which makes sense, right? Since those stages have playoffs, finals, and prize pools, then FaZe Clan actually leads the pack, finishing first in 5 splits, 4 of those in a row. Alright, I think I've made my point. Our leagues have history and meaning, no question. So now, I want to hear from our Brazilian pros. Does winning that not a title split trophy actually change anything for the rest of the season?
É muito importante porque garante mais pontos aí pro Invitation, né, Invi Points, e sair com mais um split, né, mais uma vitória de split, a 5ª consecutiva.
Classificação, acho que para final da SAL é muito importante, mas eu acho que o mais importante pra gente ganhando essa partida, eu acho que é a confiança que dá no time para ir bem na Arábia e, consequentemente, no Split 2 e fazer a gente ser um time mais constante.
Essa final ela tem um peso muito grande, né? Por principalmente valer os Invi Points, né? E a vaga na SAL no final do ano. Pô, depois de um ano tá jogando uma final aí de novo é muito satisfatório. E nosso objetivo é o mesmo desde o início do campeonato, a gente sair campeão desse primeiro stage aí.
Muito importante. Pode não parecer, mas ser campeão brasileiro, ganhar o bagulho assim, o final do brasileiro é outra parada. Você se sente, tipo assim, no topo real, porque a nossa região é melhor. Isso é fato. Então, pra gente é muito gratificante você ficar em primeiro na região mais bizarra do jogo. Então, é isso. Pra mim é importante pra caramba.
Solid takes, but remember, this is just the first split of SAL. We've still got a whole second split ahead, and then, at the end of the year, depending on team performance across both stages, we'll finally get the big grand final of the South American League. Our players also brought up another point. Invitational points, which you stack through regional leagues and the majors. And let me break it to the stragglers. After all that, there's only one more shot to qualify for Rainbow Six's biggest tournament through the last chance qualifier. So yeah, do not sleep on this. So with that in mind, let's ask our pro players how much they value these 2 massive factors in the competitive scene, the year-end final and those precious Invi points. Alright guys, what do these things really mean to you?
Coisa demais, né? O presente é que nós já tá perto assim do Invi, né? Só um tequinho assim, pra gente poder mudar aquela história de Boston.
Realmente os 6 Invi Points, eles fazem muita diferença. O Invi eu acredito também que é um campeonato que se você tem um ano constante, indo pros campeonatos, indo bem, assim, da forma que a gente sempre vai todo ano, a gente vai chegar lá. Então, claro, tem que se pensar nos Invi Points, mas também ter uma constância aí durante o ano, que a classificação vem tranquilo.
Acho que é muito bom, já meio que não garante muita coisa, mas já tá com um pezinho ali no Invi. E por não ter mais 2 majors, ser só agora a Arábia e um major para classificar, é muito importante, né? Não tem como falar que não é.
E fora o Indy Points, tem o momento ali de estar se tornando campeão brasileiro, assim como a gente foi nos outros 2 anos. Então é uma coisa satisfatória, eu acho que a gente quer também esse título. E é algo importante também para a trajetória da equipe.
Fair enough. But what about you at home? Who is taking the first split of SAL this year? And come year's end, are we gonna see Cavalaria lift a 4th trophy? FaZe claim their 3rd? Or will Furia or W7M snag their very first? Drop it in the comments. As for me, I am out for now, wishing good luck to all the squads still in this fight. Thanks for tuning in, fam. See you next time.
I don't know about the two of you, but honestly, I still think that Fury and Liquid probably have a chance in this bracket based on what EK is talking about. Really appreciate him putting those breakdowns together all stage long for us on the English side of things. But it's about time to jump into this matchup finally. FaZe and Fury is always a good one whenever it graces our screens, but now the stakes are just that little bit higher because it matters for the SI points bounty at the end of the rainbow. So let's dive into both of them, and we'll start with FaZe Clan. Jack, they have yet to lose a map in playoffs so far. The only maps they lost were some during the round robin, but at this point, that feels like eons ago. They've been on a wonderful streak so far, including a 2-0 over Furia just yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was, I think, for me, the most impressive performance I've seen from FaZe all stage. They were phenomenal. And it's built off the back of individual excellence. I will say they've got some of the best gunners inside of Brazil, and then Vita King behind them, who IGLs and masterminds the whole thing. And it works out so well. So it's individual excellence supported by a real focus on team play, teamwork, and the philosophy to do everything as one unit. That was the big differentiating factor for me yesterday as to why they were able to breeze into the upper bracket final.
And they came in with the right game plan here, Jack, I feel like, because they knew Furia's playstyle thrives around aggression. It thrives around having extended setup in defense, preventing you to enter the building. And I love their strategy there. FaZe, they ban the Monty and the Blackbirds and the Deimos in attack. And then they ban the Kaiden Bandits so they can open up the walls and problem solve whatever is put in front of them. It was very clear from the starting point. The win condition was either, okay, there is a roam, we're going to cut off that roam, we're going to 5-man focus on that, problem solve it, get the man advantage, and execute properly. Either B, we're going to do a direct take on the bomb site, use Ying, use Sense, do a Sense execute, objective-oriented take, and that's going to work as well. These 2 win conditions were perfectly executed by FaZe, especially in attack, and that's why they dominated Furia the entire matchup yesterday.
FaZe coming to this grand final with a 5-point lead over Furia on defense and 11-point lead over Furia on attack. The advantage goes to them on both sides, but that's what happens when you have an undefeated bracket so far through the playoffs. But for Furia, been a bit of a rocky road comparatively, but they still did get here in the end. It just took a couple of series losses. They got knocked down to lower bracket by FaZe Clan after that game from yesterday, and Leo, they very nearly did not make it here based on how that last series against NIP went as the last game of yesterday.
Yeah, I think I will reuse your words there, Jacob. I think rocky, bumpy is kind of the road has not been clear and the clear path for them towards the entire stage, by the way, because I don't think I've seen a single clean sheet map for these guys the entirety of SAL. They like to make it a little bit hard. Every single match, it's a 7-5 or it's an overtime, and that's why they ended up in lower bracket, and that's why they ended up struggling to beat NIP, making it to that grand finals. But because they're champion material, somehow, Jack, they always get away with it with some incredible individuals.
They absolutely do. And those incredible individuals, when the pressure is on, when it's the big moments that they need to step up, they definitely do it. Now, Herds, that guy in the middle of your screen, how bad was he during the regular stage, by the way? He's now made it and clawed it back to 100 EPS. Absolutely phenomenal. And we can take a look at the last round from yesterday. We can have a look at when Herds managed to get it over the line for his team, because it was rocky, it was bumpy. I would even say, Leo, it was turbulent. But when that's the case, when you're in overtime, match point, map 3 to get yourself into the upper bracket, to get yourself into the grand final, who steps up? It's going to be that guy Herds. And like I say, he's a big LAN player. He steps up for his team when it matters at LAN in these big games, not the regular best of ones, Leo.
Yeah, and if we look at this last round, that was obviously the game yesterday. big moment. Whoever wins that round gains at least guaranteed 150 SI points. And we're going to take a look at this, and you're going to see in this setup, we see a clear bandit trick, we see NIP still playing with time, the right utility, and Herds here playing on that moto door is going to be key. Now, in that 5v5, you might think NIP right now are in a winnable situation. And they even get, here at this point, they lose one player, but you'll see they will fight back here. KZ dies on blue hallway, and at the same time, they lose their playing in long. At this moment, it's a 3v3. Now, what's really important in these last 30 seconds, that C4 from Pinot is way too short. It's not killing IQ, and that's going to be key here. Because as you can see, IQ is the one that's going to pick. At this moment, she gets the pick on cons rotating into church. She gets the pick on the blue player over picking. And then finally, she gets the last pick on the anchor. That's Hertz getting a crazy triple kill. And everybody on his side, look at the direction from Furia. Everybody is going straight to him. Everybody is thanking him. He just did a crazy 3K to get and win a round they should never win. And if only the C4 goes a little bit further, if only Cons doesn't rotate in church, if only the blue player doesn't overpeak there, if an IP doesn't do the simplest of things, Furia would not be playing that grand final. And that's the crazy quality of Furia. This individual prowess carries them over the line almost every single time. But against a team like FaZe that's always perfect, that's not going to be enough.
There are some times I do wish we had some kind of caster cam back during the analyst desk so that you had the ability to see our reaction as we were watching that game yesterday. We were hollering during that last overtime round, but the entirety of that second half against NIP didn't really look like Fury was going to pull it out of the bag until they do in rounds 14 and 15. Right at the very end, they saved their skins, and now they've got a grand final appearance, which means they were able to contribute to the map veto, but we've also seen repeats already between FaZe and Furia. They repeated the map they played during the best of ones in the round robin. They wanted to bring it back in the best of three. FaZe have done nothing but smoke them so far, literally all stage long, so this veto was going to be super important. Do we see additional map repeats so far? They've already said, Katie has mentioned, they like playing the same maps against the good teams, so they know who is the best on those maps. But Jack, there are repeats. There are repeats aplenty in this series, it looks like.
Exactly. KDS mentioned it. These teams play the same maps against each other consistently. It's the way that their map pulls over line. Now, Furia, they pick a new map. They go to Clubhouse. Reason being, they got over the line on it yesterday. They have big momentum on it. They won it against NIP. It did come down to overtime, but they feel good on it, and it's a map they felt good on for the longest time. For FaZe, it's been a bit of a 50-50 map, so I could understand why they would want to change the dynamic. Yesterday, they picked Chalet, and then they lost it. So they picked Clubhouse. FaZe are just going to continue, same old, same old. We'll play Lair again, we'll beat you on it again. And then they decide to be in Chalet, which again, yesterday, this was Furia's pick into FaZe. So both teams are happy to play it. FaZe, they won it yesterday. Why would they not want to leave it open in the map veto? And for Furia, it's a map they've loved historically, but they do struggle against FaZe on it.
I think the Clubhouse is the only big thing, the only big difference. Basically, the bans were almost all the same. The only difference is that because Clubhouse has been picked, Bank has been banned, and so Chalet is the decider. Now, focusing more on that Clubhouse, it's the one map that I think FaZe really dropped the performance on, because they haven't played it since SI. They didn't play it at Reload at all, and they only played it once during the stage and lost it to Black Dragon 7-2. Didn't look that good, so I understand why Furia is picking it. Now, Jack, to your point, yesterday, Furia playing Clubhouse, they failed strategically. They had a 6-3 lead against NIP, and they let them come back because they could not attack properly on that map. And I think that's my big story here. It did not look good. It looked shaky, and FaZe have had 15 rounds to watch just from the game yesterday to adapt to what Furia is bringing to the table.
Let's talk to the casters on this one, because this grand final is about to get heated given the fact that we've got a couple of repeats in here. It's Intero and Jesse on the call for the grand final, so let's get them in here real fast. Gentlemen, we're going to see the repeats on maps 2 and 3 if we need it, obviously, but the big focus for me is Clubhouse. Like Leo mentioned, FaZe have only played it the one time against BD. That was played A4. They lost it pretty handily, and they haven't played it since. Furia have won it every single time they've played it this stage, but the way that that NIP game went, it could have gone either way. To both of you, starting with Parker, are you as concerned about the fact that FaZe have only played it the one time and they didn't look that great, and Furia are currently undefeated on it?
I don't know if concern is the right word to put forward. I am skeptical of FaZe's chances, I will say that much. But I mean, this is a team that hasn't dropped a single map so far through the playoffs. They look like they're just leisurely strolling their way to a first place finish, and I mean, they've looked like an excellent team. I don't know what maps they're gonna be strongest on, but I mean, on Clubhouse, a group stage match and play day number 4 doesn't really trouble me too much. I expect FaZe to win the map.
I mean, listen, I'm not concerned about this map for FaZe, but maybe for a different reason. Even if FaZe lose this map, I think the rest of the veto looks really good for them. We saw just how strong FaZe Clan looked yesterday in their matchup against Furia. We're seeing a lot of repeat maps today. So just going by the history, even if FaZe do stumble on a map like Clubhouse, I think the future still looks bright for them to take this series. Furia will really need to dig deep and find some answers if they want to topple FaZe Clan.
The problem is nobody's had answers for FaZe Clan for the most part. You could argue that the best of 1 losses might have been a slight detriment, but again, might as well have been a millennia ago because the best of 3s are all that matters. FaZe on LAN is making everything work out so far. So we'll see if they can coast all the way to a grand final victory or if Furia can finally take revenge for the first time in stage 1. We'll get to Clubhouse right now.
Oh, thank you very much, Jesse. Yeah, I really do think that there's a lot of promise here with these youngsters of FaZe Clan. You know, a young team looking to make their name in Rainbow Six Siege. Some unknown characters on that stage for you, going up against former world champions. It's crazy that FaZe has never won anything in their entire career, right, Jesse? Isn't that a little odd?
Yeah, on this team looks like we've got Seaber, we got Souls. No. Parker, this is the rivalry of Six Siege. It's FaZe Clan versus Furia, and for the final game of domestic Stage 1 competition, I don't think we could have been honored with a better game than FaZe versus Furia. The 2 best teams in recent Siege history. The current the current world champions, the previous world champions, going back to back. You've got the tale of the twin brothers, as you always do, Handy versus Nade. You've got a huge rivalry between these 2 teams, and it's all love at the end of the day. But you still know how much both of these teams want to be best in Brazil, best in South America, and best in the world. This is just going to be one more of those opportunities where they can prove that they are exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an exciting showdown. We've got 1 best of 3 today. It is the last match of the global Stage 1 leagues here. So this is it. And then there's a lengthy break until we get back in action. I'm excited for it to end like this.
Really?
FaZe versus Furia? No, I mean, like, I'm not excited for it to end. I like casting Rainbow Six, but I'm excited that we get FaZe Clan and Furia as the final match. Whenever these 2 teams compete, there are fireworks. You know, if you go back long enough, you used to have that with FaZe and Liquid being the 2 teams, and then it was Liquid Nip for a long period of time when Liquid looked like the best team in Brazil. FaZe Clan has always been a factor and has always been among the best teams in the world, let alone their own region. But now Furia has emerged, formerly as that W7M team, as the next big thing in Brazil, and they have had some very incredible staying power. If there were 2 teams to collide in a final best of 3 to end Stage 1, I would put good money on this going all the way. Clubhouse will be up in just a matter of time. I feel like you and I haven't seen much Clubhouse ourselves, Jesse, so it'll be exciting to get some opportunities to do that. Clubhouse is a map that has actually seen a staggeringly high amount of play in this region, the 3rd most played map, trailing Bank in 2nd place and Cafe as far and away the most played map. Lair is our 2nd map. It's towards the lower portion of the play in terms of all 9 maps, but actually sits pretty close to the middle. 52 rounds have been played on Lair. For perspective, 52 rounds played on Lair. Cafe has had 153 rounds played, so 101 more rounds played on map number 1. Not sure why we are waiting here to get in, but what do you think will stand out today, either between these teams or with these maps or with some operator bans? Do you think we'll see anything quirky or anything unexpected, or do you think things will go according to plan as both of these teams try their best to finish from first?
Yeah, well, this is maybe not the answer you're looking for, Parker, but I'm expecting nothing unexpected. These 2 teams know each other probably better than any 2 teams in the world. They've played against each other so many times. They've been at the top of the best region for so long. They've played internationally, domestically, online, at LAN, and they often play the same maps. It was KDS in an interview either yesterday or the day before where he said one of his favorite things about playing Furia is that they do consistently play the same maps. They're really big scrim partners as well, so they have an extremely good read on how each other play, and he enjoys that aspect because it means that the game doesn't come down to, you know, who can maybe come out with a new strategy enemy off guard. It doesn't come down to who can kind of win on the gimmicks, but it really does come down to who plays better on the day, who shows up, hits their shots, has better coordination, is more calm, has that good communication. And so that's really going to be the difference maker in this series. I don't expect any massive changes to come through for either of these teams. I don't think we're going to see any crazy aggression coming out from the anchors of FaZe Clan. I don't think we're going to see Furia being afraid to play this game. You know, a big thing that teams do talk about is kind of those nerves. I know this is something that NIP talks quite a lot about, where how after they got top four, they kind of accomplished their goals. They were able to really let loose, and they were able to play, honestly, a lot better Siege because they just didn't have to be so worried about making it to the top four because they were already there. I think this game still has a decent bit of pressure on it, but it's certainly not going to be as devastating to whichever team loses, right? There's 150 extra SI points on the line. The winning team will get 300 SI points total. The loser will sit at just 150 at a flat rate. 300 is like probably going to be good enough to get you to SI. It would be rare, I think, to see a team get 300 points in stage 1 and then not make SI. But Parker, I think these are the two best teams in the world, and I expect them both to be at SI one way or another. So I think it's going to come down to pride. It's going to come down to showing who's boss. It's going to come down to that ego a little bit. And I think these players are just excited to play. I don't think those nerves are really going to be impactful at all.
We have updates as to why this match has not started. We will give them to you, but as of right now, we are unsure. Everything was all ready to go, and I see some fist bumps going out. That's usually the universal sign that the game is about to begin, and we'll have just that. We'll start on FaZe Clan. Excellent timing on my end. It's almost like I know these things in advance. It's been a wild stage for the South America League. I mean, the newly re-merged league, combining all of South America with the Brazil League, as it was called, it is effectively still a Brazilian league, as 9 of the 10 teams are Brazilian. The only one that has a majority non-Brazilian roster is 9Z. They did finish in last place, but they had 3 Argentinians and 2 Brazilians playing on the team. Everybody else are names that you might recognize. Loud, picking up that Raza Company Academy roster, had a bit of an interesting run through this, just narrowly missing out on the group stages, but having Loud in the scene is a huge boon. They're a massive organization, and those players achieved so much on LAN not that long ago, Jesse, and I hope for a better run for them here in stage 2. Black Dragons surprised as well, making into the top 6. I think Team Liquid could make an argument that they were one of the most intriguing stories with their dreadful start to the stage before picking things up. Oh, there we go. Okay, Souls is spawned in. Before picking things up and making it into the playoffs. Since the playoffs began, there's been some eye-raising games. Nip's run all the way into the top 3 was quite surprising. It seems that we still have some tech issues, so we'll get a rehost underway. Nary a round has been played just yet, so we'll get back into it. But the real story for me here is FaZe Clan. FaZe Clan have played 4 maps so far in the playoffs. That's it, 4 maps. They toppled Ninjas in Pajamas 2-0, winning on Chalet and Bank. They got a bit of a reprieve going to the upper bracket finals, where they played this team on your screen right here, Furia, winning on Chalet and Lair. Now they have the rematch after Furia beat Nip 2-1 in yesterday's game.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll get to see kind of how this one does end up playing out. That game between NIP and Furia was down to the wire. Our desk highlighted it, and they kind of showed just how close it got. One single round determined who made the grand finals between Furia and NIP, and it was a round on Clubhouse. I think Jack was the one who said it best on the desk that They had a big lead. They were in control of that game, Furia were, and then they started to really let it slip. They got kind of outplayed strategically on the Clubhouse attacks, and so that's something that I think is worth looking out for in this first half. If we see Furia struggling to put together strong attacking rounds up against this FaZe Clan roster, it could get really dangerous for them, for a team that have been, you know, successful in the past on their attacks. They have a 49% offensive win rate, which is not bad compared to most teams on the offense, but still, that is somewhat of a weaker side for Furia. So I do want to see if that is another problem for them, if that's something that FaZe Clan are maybe hoping to exploit on a map like Clubhouse. I imagine, since they chose the map, Furia don't think that it's going to be a replicable issue for them. But even still, it's going to be something to watch out for if that does end up being a big problem for them. Excuse me, we saw the up bans coming through, and I believe it was a Monty and a Maverick, so the two M operators coming through. Not hugely surprising, but interesting to kind of take away one from both a shield operator and a hard breacher. Sometimes you'll see teams take a mix of both, but sometimes you'll see them go both shield ops or both hard breach ops on Clubhouse. So interesting to see them choose Maverick as a specific operator to take out. There will not be any Kaid, there will not be any Bandit, so I'm not sure that Maverick would be the go-to hard breacher anyways, but could have an impact later on too once we get to that final ban after round 3. If they want to remove something like an Ace, a Thermite, or a Hibana, might make that Mav ban even more impactful.
Oh, bans are coming in right here. You said M and M, so Monty and Maverick. I assume these bans will hold as we get underway yet again.
I don't think they're allowed to change, so it better be a Bandit or we might have another Rios.
You never know. You never know.
I suppose.
Oh, they're locked in. Kaid and Bandit will be removed on Clubhouse. Those are operators that are incredibly powerful at keeping walls closed up and electrified. Kaid obviously will have great impact on every single bomb site. Bandit is better served on those upstairs bomb sites where you're holding single walls closed. So if you want some anti-gadgetry, the main operator you're going to bring now is a Mute. He's got great application beyond just stopping hard breach gadgets. One thing that teams have struggled on a fair bit throughout these SAL playoffs and have struggled on, frankly, in most regions is information. If you don't have the drones at your disposal on bigger maps like Clubhouse is, like Lair is, you are going to have a bad time of entering. Obviously, you can bring some operators that will assist you on that. You've got Dokkaebi, you've got Lion, you've got Deimos as the, I guess you could say, the 3 tips of the Trident. Only one of which will be brought by Furia right away, as their only operator flex was off of the Hibana and onto a Deimos, so no traditional hard breachers now being brought by Furia with that small change. Instead, they'll bring the secondary hard breach gadgets in the hands of the Ying and the Grim, which is a relatively common sight. They'll be able to open things up, though this is a downstairs hold for FaZe Clan, and they've already done Furia a pretty solid favor. They've opened up most of those hatches.
Yeah, this is a classic strategy with the castle. This is kind of how the original Roam game was played back in the day for Clubhouse, where you use this castle to enable rotations back to the site. These days, people usually don't run a Club Roam with a castle, although you do see it every now and again. It's not that uncommon. We haven't seen FaZe Clans in particular bring out this strategy this season, at the very least. They've not played a lot of this map, only that game versus Black Dragons, but they didn't have this interesting roam setup with the castle, so we'll have to see how it goes. Vidaking clears out a drone, but Herds is not eager to take that gunfight. Knows that with a shotgun on the other end of it, he doesn't have great odds of walking away with the win. Allows the Vidaking to just run back the site, happy to play in that anchor position that he's so well known for. In fact, everybody on FaZe Clan very quickly making it back. So this might just be a bit of a fake, Parker, where they show those castle barricades, they show some mute jammers up top, but then as soon as that Deimos comes out, as soon as they start facing a little bit of pressure, they fall off, hoping to waste even more time for FaZe.
Entirely possible here. Already got one down. That's Nade, one of the two brothers who's literally trying to escape the Matrix. Look at that. Oh my goodness. He's phasing through time and space.
How was he down?
Falling away to find some safety, to seek salvation at the hands of his teammates, and there should be an easy retrieve on that top floor. Half the round now gone at this point, and main focus from Furia is cutting through this debris that stops them from getting into church. A swing on over from Vidaking will get the first kill as Nade was retrieved by Furia. Herds is in the ground, and FaZe Clan have an advantage with a minute left in the first round.
think it was a long angle from Memo from Cyber that might have gotten the down somehow, but that would have been a crazy shot. Either way, Herds does die, so it is man advantage, as you said, Parker. The vert angle's being worked by Nade now, and this could be a huge game changer, but at the moment, it looks like FaZe Clan are able to just avoid those sight lines. They know how difficult the time is. They've got to pop these Candelas and make a run for it, but they're still hard breaching on Philippox, dealing with these castle barricades just so that KZ can get with the rest of the team. This is going to be a real tight push that comes down to the wire.
Ooh, Handy rebuffing JV92, and Furia seem quite intent to go through the same doorway. Now KZ will line up in a similar spot. He takes some damage and shakes off of his position, not before he removes Cyber, and now Handy will fall as well. KZ has his work cut out for him as all of his teammates are dead. That leaves 4 alive for FaZe Clan as KZ will just run out the clock over in Moto. KDS gets the kill right as the timer hits 0, but it does not matter. KZ was not winning that one, and I think he was pretty content with that. Round number 1 goes to FaZe Clan.
About as clean as it gets. Again, they kind of fake a roam a little bit. They put a lot of pressure top floor, but they don't actually commit to any of those gunfights with the castle barricades. They're easily able to fall back to sight. Then, yeah, some vertical damage does go out favoring FaZe Clan. Would really love to go back to a match replay to see exactly how Nade got down. I don't think it had the biggest impact in the round. Eventually, it was an easy pickup, but even still, it's a crazy shot. Eventually, Furia, again, with no time, I think they really just struggled to put a push together. I was a little concerned that JV92 pushed Moto all by himself so early as well. I mean, I didn't think the push was going to come out so quickly from JV because Philippox was not even gotten close to prepping that first Candela, but JV was in trying to make a play, couldn't quite find it. It's going to happen sometimes with a team like Furia. You know, they don't necessarily play by the book all the times, and that's usually for the better, but those risks that Furia do like to take swing both ways. And so we'll see them take an early 1-0 deficit, and we'll go gym bedroom for our next bomb site. One of those bomb sites that Furia have been relatively successful on, 50% attacking win rate through this stage. FaZe Clan yet to win it, but again, very small sample size.
2 rounds was all FaZe Clan could muster here on Clubhouse against Black Dragons on that 4th play day. They're already half the way to that point. I mean, that's a pretty good start, I'd say, Jesse. Admittedly, earlier group stage matches are hard for us to use as a measuring stick for certain teams. I mean, again, go back to Team Liquid. They were dreadful through the first 4 play days. They looked like a completely different team from that point onward. Maybe FaZe Clan just had a bad day. A best of 1 means you load in, maybe you don't load in, and then you exit the match, and that's just how things go. Speaking of loading in, Philippox does not load into this round. He's picked off immediately by, I believe that was KDS, which leaves him with no SAM cams. Secondary utility is lacking as well, and that was a secondary hard breach. I don't know what's going on with FaZe Clan. Maybe they ate their Wheaties this morning, but there goes Nade. So Fury has now suffered 2 casualties in the first minute.
Yeah, it was a shot through the, I believe it was the con single wall to come out from KDS for that opening pick, and then another one found onto Nade, a really critical operator. So you've lost 2 ops here now that you would like to keep alive for the late round. You got Jacuzzi wall open, which is great, but I mean, you don't really have answers to this mirror window. Technically, Twitch drones will counter this, but getting a Twitch drone in behind that position is a lot easier said than done. The magnets will protect Cyber from the flashes mostly, but not fully. They run in now.
KZ, once again, the only offense at this point for Furia. Birds on the board, so it's not all the KZ show, but it's JV92 now, the last one standing. No kills to his name. He had a very quiet first round. He'll march on into weight room and get torn to shreds by Vidaking. In 2 rounds, FaZe Clan matches their tally from the last time they played this map against Black Dragons many, many moons ago, and it's a 2-0 start for the defending world champions.
So 3 players on Furia died before they entered the building. Philippox on the con single wall, Nade, who was far outside the building when he ended up dying, and then KZ, who was outside of the Jacuzzi breach before he ever got inside the breach. So that's 3 deaths before you can even find an entry point for Furia. You got to wonder at some point, do they call attack timeout just to calm things down, just to get the nerves settled a little bit? Because it does feel like they are not able to predict the aggression that's coming out of FaZe Clan. FaZe are not really known to be a fast team necessarily. They're not known to be a team to go for a lot of these swings, but of course, as the world champions, they can play many different styles, and so it shouldn't be a surprise to Furia that they can play so aggressive like this. We did get to see the 0 coming out from Philippox. He seems to be re-picking off of it now. 0, an interesting operator. Parker, I feel like every rank stack has got a 0 main in it. You know, one player in the rank stack that just like truly believes that 0 is a great operator, and it always seems to be just the worst player in the stack. I don't know what it is about 0 players, but unfortunately we couldn't see any value out of that in round 2. Won't see it in round 3
Calling Philippox the worst player on Furia?
No, I mean, he's the IGL though, so.
Breaking news! Former analyst, newly minted caster, calls defending world champion IGL worst player on Furia.
Okay, who do you think the worst player on Furia is then, Parker? That's a tough question.
There's
no good answer.
I choose not to speak.
Okay.
I am going to avoid getting myself in trouble by openly calling one of them the worst player. I don't know if there is a weak link on Furia, if I'm being completely frank, and I know you're going to think that's a cop-out, but it's true.
I mean, that's
I think they play different roles. I think they excel on those roles, and the team works. I mean, obviously, Furia's dominance isn't what it was a couple years ago, but I mean, teams go through highs and lows. Very rare, especially with how competitive our circuit is these days, for one team to have the consistency that both of these teams have experienced, for the record. FaZe Clan's consistency is something that should be studied in a lab.
I'd say all 10 of these players are far out of the conversation for being a bad player. These are some of the best players in the world. That's why they're here, playing in the grand finals of the SAL League. Baseline have not stopped with this aggression, by the way. You see Souls hunting for another spawn peak, but Furia have managed to avoid it this time. For the first time in this Clubhouse game, successfully dodging those early deaths. And, well, the tricks are still here for FaZe. And it looks like they're looking for a run out from Cyber, but I'm not sure there's anybody to find. Unless there's somebody that's up on the roof you might get an angle on. But many of the Furia players are just clustered around this main breach and around Garage, so I'm not sure that this Cyber run out will accomplish much. We'll see.
The first pick is broken in favor of FaZe Clan, 2 for 2 up to this point. We're now with 1 minute left. A bit of a slower round than what we saw in the most recent round, but Furia might realize that trying to play their own pace and bring that heat to FaZe Clan has not worked out 2 times in a row. Would a third work? Yes, it does. Vidaking maybe getting a bit impatient, looks for something over towards the breach. Herds punishes him, and now it's KDS in the line of sight from a similar position. Holding things down now on rafters as Cyber elsewhere eliminates KZ. Bees being dumped in, flame boats going up onto the rafters as KDS is cooked alive in this position. Handy swinging over, Philippox shutting him down. KV92 all the while successfully gets Diffuser down. FaZe Clan's attention was elsewhere, and Furia now holding not just a numbers advantage, but also holding true to the objective. FaZe Clan will need to retake their own bomb site. A hopeless swing onto the door and hopeless swings across the board as 3 separate players of Furia kill the final 3 remaining players of FaZe Clan to give the Cats their first round.
Yeah, and you really do see how Fury able to rein that round in. They're not playing super aggressive. Herds had a great round there, got a couple of really impactful kills, including the opening. And how do they get those kills? They don't get them by rushing into the building. They don't get them by playing over eager. They're just holding angles, Barker. They expect that aggression to come through. They eventually find it with that pick on Nvidia King. And there was an answer back by Cyber. It was not the front door run out. He did use the impact, but he didn't get anything from the run out. He then came back inside a lounge where he got his initial pick in that round. So nice to see Furia reining things in, being able to get a handle on this FaZe Clan team. If you go down 3-0, especially on your own map pick against FaZe Clan, I mean, it would certainly be looking like a repeat of yesterday where FaZe Clan just seemed to dominate Furia. And I think it gives a lot of hope for the rest of the series that Furia are not going to bow out. They're not going to just fall down to the team that have historically been the best domestic team in Brazil. They're going to be able to get some answers, come up with some counters of their own, and hopefully win some of these rounds back.
I mean, what a feather in the cap it could be of this FaZe Clan team. Obviously, they didn't perform at Reload to the expectations that they had likely set for themselves, but they won SI in Boston. The Brazilian contemporaries of Furia win Reload, and now one of these two teams will find their second trophy of the year. Win stage 1. Will it be the defending world champions? Will it be the first Siege X champions? That's the question. Which one of the two will come out on the right side of this best of 3? Lair will be, if FaZe Clan wins this first map, a fascinating conclusion, or could be a fascinating conclusion to this best of 3. Chalet will be the ultimate tiebreaker should these teams win either their own maps or in each other's. Birds barging in alongside the blitz of Nade, and they punish KDS, who is playing down in stock. This extended castle hold that Cyber is now clinging to for dear life will have to prove its worth as he's slowly backing away. Furia marched in, got the kill, marched right out. Job's done. Excellent for them.
So last round they slowed things down. This round they speed things up, and they again walk away with success. Good from Furia to be able to pivot to a brand new playstyle. First time to bring shields in this game, and it comes after round 4, after the final Operator ban from FaZe Clan on the defense. That's a massive pick. Now they get a second one with JV getting the vertical angle onto Cyber. 2 roamers down, only 1 remains, and it's Vidaking who is running back down the main stairs as we speak. So this is going to end up being a 5v3 execute in all likelihood. Furia in a fantastic position. Again, I think it just comes down to how versatile this team is. They didn't showcase the shield at all. They can play shields. They're not a big shield team, but it's certainly a tool that they have under their belts. Now Nade's able to make that happen with the entry points. And honestly, Vidaking's in a really rough spot too. Barely escaped the hammer of Herds.
I mean, they're clinging to dear life here. What a shot by Vidaking onto the hatch to punish KZ, though, and there's still some life on the side of FaZe Clan, as now they've also reduced JV92 to a single point of HP. Fire will burn out over by the Moto doors. Furia reposition themselves. Marching down those main stairs, you saw the shield also going over towards one of the hatches. That looks like a Moto drop. The first thing for Furia to confront is what is going on with that church wall. One panel remains soft, and there's some suspicion on the side of Furia as to what could be waiting for them. FaZe Clan very deep into the bomb site, nestled all the way back. It's really just Handy who seems to be looking for a pick, as the execute will be happening in a matter of moments. Time, though, for Philippox to go on to drone with 40 seconds left. Handy tussling through that open breach onto Church. The wall's been opened up, and both teams will trade. Advantage still for Furia right now based on numbers. Vidaking trying to slow down the advance of the blitz of Nade over in Moto, but he's having a tough time with that. And they will get ever closer. My God, what a sloppy engagement. They'll trade yet again, and now it's Souls to shut this down in a 1v2. Desperate attempt with the impact out, but Philippox has the big moment at the end of the round. The final 2 kills to seal the deal for Furia and tie the game.
I really feel like Nade has evolved as a player, man. His shield play is looking so much better than it did even just 6 months ago. Comes into this game with a 17% attacking shield pick rate. So he's been playing at a fair amount, almost 1 in every 5 rounds. And it really does feel like he's able to make a ton of space for his teammates. Feels like this is one of those tools that Furia have only recently kind of been able to work into their kit. And you saw it working all that round. Early on with getting that opening pick, rushing into stock, finding the early frag on a KDS, and then in the site too, perfectly timing when he's got the shield up and can take space versus when he's starting to take some pressure. He's got to put the shield back down, go into that crouch position, make sure he can stay safe, always causing chaos, always at the front. Every time we were expecting a FaZe Clan player, it looked like they were staring at the shield. They couldn't find any of those other players. If they did, it was being traded back by Furia. There was always somebody playing with someone else on the side of Furia. They played that man count advantage really well. I want to give credit to Vidaking as well in that round. I think getting that pick on the Moto hatch was absolutely critical to give them even a chance of defending in that 5v3, turning it down to a 4v3. But in the end, it just wasn't enough. Nade is far too good on those shields, and he really does showcase just why he might be the best support player in the world to play like that.
I mean, the other person you talk about as being one of the best support players in the world is Souls. He's constantly in that conversation.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like the prestige and pedigree around him has kind of worn off a little bit as other support players have stacked up. And also, if you're constantly at the top, you eventually become that meter stick that everything is judged with. And people just often forget about you. So I'm very glad to see that there are other people getting that time in the spotlight. But I think if you look at both of these teams, a lot is talked about regarding their aggressive players, your Cybers, your Herds, your KZ, etc. The support players really do deserve their time in the sun, and I'm glad that they're getting it because we've got 2 of the best, I would argue, supporting cores in all of our esport on stage right now.
Yeah, I would even go as far as to make a bit of a distinction where Nade might be the best hard support, and then Souls might be the best kind of secondary support player, where Nade is great at hard breach, great at shields, great at getting the plant down. Cyber is really good at staying around to the late round, playing that secondary kind of flex role on a hard breach when he needs to, also managing to clutch up a ridiculous amount. He's got the highest clutch win percentage in the entire SAL right now, so he's been really strong there. I think it's a great call out, Parker. In this round, they're gonna have to get past a clash if they want to make anything happen, and Vidaking quickly with a swing will punish KZ for staring a little bit too long at Handy. Answered back by Herds though. This clash has been a big problem. They're clearing it really nicely.
Clash seeming almost impervious to damage. Handy is still living inside of this space. How, my goodness, I don't know. Devastating result for Furia, and one that could honestly change the tides in this round. FaZe Clan streaking out to 2 rounds. Furia has closed the gap ever since. They'll trade yet again. They finally got Handy, and now it's all Cyber against Leapox. AB92's been dropped outside as well. Cyber posted up amidst the bomb site, not far removed from that A-bomb chassis, but he can rotate over to Logi, which is where Felipox is. Shotgun for Cyber at that range, at that angle, probably not fatal. Felipox will win that engagement just based on their positioning, but Cyber gets the run on Felipox, realizing that you cannot allow that SAS shotgun to creep forward. You have to take matters into your own hands. Well read by both players, but the shotgun at that range, most of the time, you're going to win. FaZe Clan already beating their result on Clubhouse against Black Dragons earlier in this group stage. 3 rounds now as they look to go up 4-2. The final round, round number 6, about to get underway.
Nice play by Cyber, able to clutch out that 1v1. Actually, his first clutch of the SAL. He hasn't had a single one so far through the groups and playoffs, of course. He is their primary entry. He's very rarely alive this late in the round anyways, but good for him to finally get on the board with that stat. Big play coming out with the shotgun. Again, not necessarily the role that you expect him to be playing, but when Handy's got to step up on the clash, you want 2 of those SAS operators. Somebody else is going to have to make that play, and so we do see that being brought out by Cyber. The clash play was honestly all over the place, Parker. I thought it was really good, to be fair. I'm not really critical of Handy, but he was being pushed over by the air jabs. He was being constantly juggled. Took so much damage. Somehow lived on 1 HP and was still finding frags. So Handy did a really good job to allow Cyber to get into that situation, into the 1v1 clutch. Really nice stuff coming out from him on the clash play. And, you know, I really do think we're starting to see that operator come alive, too, with a lot more clash play being brought specifically in South America so far this season.
Now, Blackbeard will now be brought on the side of Furia, absent those traditional shields, which you mentioned just a couple rounds ago when we saw Nade on that blitz. I mean, much has been said through this first stage across all regions regarding power of shields, the ability for teams to use shields, and we've pointed fingers at some of the squads where when Monty and Blitz get banned out, they still try to make shields work because so much of their strategy revolves around it. Very rarely do we actually find there to be much success. See, the Blackbeard obviously plays a bit differently and how Herds will be able to use this operator. All the while, though, Souls over by Stripdoor is now on the ground looking for some feet to shoot away at with the DMR. He did this previously. He needs to be careful to not go out too far. As Nade was on drone, and my goodness, that is a frustrating one. Coming to a ranked game near you as Souls gets lead off pick. And it's a big opportunity for FaZe Clan with over half the round left.
That's an annoying way to die, let me tell you, Parker. Nobody feels good after losing to a gunfight like that, but hey, we're here in the grand final. Stuff like that's gonna happen. They banned the Capitals. Clearing out Raptors becomes a much tougher task, but apparently not, because Herds is finding the head with no problems. Just a single nade is all they need to force the position, then Herds takes this space all for himself. That is an excellent Raptors clear. Weary of somebody down an oil pit, and he should be, because Cyber is down in this position. He's got 2 impacts. Herds doesn't care though, Parker. Walking through the garage and has found 2 frags for his trouble. Cyber needs to move quick.
Oh my goodness. I mean, quick as can be. Herds is killing everybody though. He's 1 away from clearing out the entire server by himself. Now it's all up to Cyber's last man standing. KZ will get the kill, so Herds' ace is denied, but probably unbothered by the result. A 3-3 first half, as neither team can gain a lead through these 6 rounds.
And Herds, I think, has really been incredible in the latter half of this stage. I think it was something that Jack touched on during the desk segments, where he comes into this game with a negative overall KD. He's -4 overall coming into this game, which is fine, you know, not that crazy either direction. But he's been positive for the last 8 maps in a row. He has yet to have a negative game for the last 8 maps, including the 0-2 loss to FaZe Clan in the upper bracket finals. So even in the games where they're losing, Herds is showing up with big performances time and time again. And so that kind of speaks to just how big of a transformation he's had between the group stage and the playoffs. He has been an absolute rock for Furia ever since they got back onto LAN. He's definitely one of those players that levels up when they can move to a new location. I think sometimes you're playing at home, sometimes you're playing in that same booth that you scrim in, and it's hard to get in that game day mindset. That's something that I believe Fleetbox was talking about back in an interview a couple of weeks ago. And so to see that change from Herds, I think it really does showcase just how serious he does take this game, especially when they can get on LAN, when he can get into his comfortable environment. Now in this game, a 10-4 stat line. He will be positive for the first time in many, many weeks if he can maintain that stat.
The highest rated players in the entire region are currently in this match. ADS has been a real standout performer, and he's having a bit of a slower start to that first half. Let's see if he picks it up here now on more forward rolls for FaZe Clan. Furia had opted out of a traditional hard breach for a number of their attacking rounds. FaZe Clan will not repeat that same lineup as they bring a Hibana right off the rip, and all the tools that you'd come to expect. They won't have any trouble opening up dirt though, because that's already been done by Furia. It looked like Nade and JV92, situated inside of that dirt portion of the map, can catch one of these FaZe Clan players off guard if they push up there without properly droning. One thing we saw from FaZe Clan in the very first round was that they'd opened up much of this map when defending downstairs. That's exactly what Furia's done too, and they've spread out all over. Herds was all by himself upstairs. He's punished by Handy, as FaZe have been very successful at getting this first pick. They haven't always been able to capitalize and turn it into a round win, but they're consistently giving themselves an edge that eventually might catch up to Furia.
Yeah, FaZe the best entry team in the SAL, 55% on both attack and defense. So overall, that's a really high average. Herds going down feels really good for them, but there's still a lot more to find. They've got the Damos track on KZ, who can feel the pressure. The flashbang comes in, knows that he's not safe, but he doesn't know exactly where the pressure might come from. There's one on the window, 2 pushing through Master. He's not long for this world, but can he get 1 for his troubles? That's the real question mark. In the meantime, his teammate Fleetbox will find a pick. They still aren't able to hunt down KZ. There's kills going all over the map, but KZ is still somehow alive up in the hall.
Yeah, he's just running around this map endlessly, and he escapes through the hatch. Look at all this investment by FaZe Clan, and it comes up with nothing on KZ.
I mean, they did at least trade out Fleetbox, so I guess it's still a man advantage, but that's really good time waste from KZ. That is a ridiculous situation to get yourself out of. Had the hatch open, popped, and then makes it down the main stairs. Just unreal to be able to escape. Now, they do have a man disadvantage, but they also have the Clash. Talking about how good this has been in South America, a lot of that has been led by Nade. He's been the Clash player, I think, in the entire world that people have looked at to try to replicate on how to play this operator since the rework. He's often one to keep that shield up longer than most. Doesn't need to switch to the gun unless it's absolutely necessary. In a 3v4, it might be necessary, though, because they don't have great angles. Casey, he's just not done, Parker. Through the hatch. Someone stop this guy.
He's the ghost of Christmas past and also the ghost of Christmas present, as he's destroying everybody. Almost getting the pick onto KDS as well. JV92 credited with the final pick. What a triumph from KZ as he finds the last kill as well. That whole round was the KZ show, Jesse. They were chasing him around the map almost like a Scooby-Doo villain. And then he manages to get his way to the bottom floor and has impact on all 3 of the final kills. Getting 2 of the kills, including the final pick, and doing most of the damage before JV92 was credited with the second last pick. What An incredible run by a player, and I mean run, quite literally.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good reason why KZ is sometimes considered the best player in the world, even better than Stompin', if you can believe it. He's been the best player on Furia so far this season with a 124 KDR, still below 3 separate players on FaZe Clan, with Souls at a 150, Cyber and KDS both in the 130s. But regardless, you know, Furia have had a much more difficult run, both through the playoffs and through the group stage as well. So it is to be expected that FaZe would have slightly better numbers overall. Still, there is nobody that can deny the talent that KZ possesses ever since he joined this squad way back when they were W7M, one of the OG members of this team. Not quite the OG, that'd be Herds, but been with this team for a very long time, has very often found those big results. He's done it at the smallest stages, he's done it in the biggest stages, and he'll do it once again up to 6 and 5 in this game. Really nice stuff that round.
Well, FaZe Clan will now find themselves staring at a deficit. They have led or tied the entirety of this match. They were up 2-0, then it tied at 2-2. They got the edge in a 3-2 scoreline all before Furia won the final round of the first half, and now have taken their first lead of the game, and a great time to do that. Could, in theory, be 3 rounds away from Furia putting their own map into the win column, and now staring down FaZe Clan on Lair. A map that FaZe knows very, very well and should be quite comfortable on.
Yeah, it should be noted as well with this map, Veto. I mean, this does feel like a must-win map for Furia. The next 2 maps are both, I would say, quite heavily favored for FaZe Clan. So if Furia were not able to win Clubhouse, then they're in big trouble. They've worked themselves out of big trouble spots before, but even still, you don't want to make it harder than it has to be. Coming out with this smoke tech now to try to clear out the Raptors player. This has been seen a few times, using the smoke to try to go for a peek, but I think they're quite aware of it on the side of Furia. JV's not giving them any peeks until that smoke dissipates. If another smoke comes out, as it's sure to come soon from Souls, JV92 will be smart enough not to peek it unless he absolutely has to.
Will they finally be able to take care of KZ? He's been invincible through the 1.5 round now here on defense that we've seen him play, and he was an absolute menace in the previous round. He's not the first one to watch, though. Looks like the Wamaya JV92 and a missed opportunity by Souls. He thought he had somebody up on Rafters. He's very correct, but he misses the opportunity, and it will come back to haunt them as JV92 finds kill number 2 and 3, 4 as well. Herds was denied the ace from a similar spot. Who will find Cyber as the last one? JV92 going for the ego peak. He laughs. That's all he really needs. And Cyber finds himself in a bit of turmoil here. 4 players from Furia still alive, all of them at full HP. Cyber walking into garage now, dealing a bunch of damage to Herds. KZ, of course, is the person to get the final kill, and Furia's lead will grow. 3 rounds in a row now. Or the former world champs. They've taken all of their rounds as defenders, and they took the last attacking.
Oh boy, João Vitor, aka JV92. This is a guy that always seems to have a smile on his face, and he's known to be the trash talker on Furia, okay? He is no stranger to typing in the server, to standing up and yelling across the stage, and he feels very good about that. Lets the opponents know exactly what he thinks of them. Of course, there's a lot of respect between these teams, and he knows that the FaZe Clan are great players, but when he has a big moment like that, you can guarantee he's going to say something about it. Will prompt attack timeout from FaZe Clan as their attacks have not been looking good so far on this map. It's really been a lot of big individual moments from Furia. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it just feels like as individuals, it's been one after another having big pop-off rounds. I mean, first it was Herds, then it was KZ, now JV92. We're working our way down the list, Parker. Philippe Hawks and Nade, take your pick on who's going to come up next. It just feels like the individuals on Furia are far and away playing better Siege than FaZe Clan, at least today. There is nobody who would deny the individual talent of anyone in this server, but I think Furia in particular have a bit of a reputation to uphold as absolutely ridiculous mechanical players, and they are showing that in the server today.
And it's also Clubhouse. It's a map that FaZe Clan are right now not very familiar on, though.
Yeah.
I will say, in the entire history of FaZe Clan as an org, there are a number of maps that obviously stand out. The Oregon map that they had against D plus Kia, or Damwon Kia, is obviously one of the most historic games that we have seen outside of a grand final, and might be one of the most memorable maps that we've seen in the last couple years of this esport. But I mean, I'm old enough to go all the way back to the Raleigh Major, when Team Empire was, now obviously known as Virtus Pro, was the best team on Clubhouse in the world, bar none. And everybody believed the conventional wisdom was you do not take the Russians to Clubhouse. FaZe Clan in the best of 3 not just went to Clubhouse, but absolutely dogged on Team Empire. That was the old roster with like Mav and Yuna and stuff like that. So it's been a long time since that happened. I mean, the Raleigh Major was in, it was what, 2019, I believe?
I think so, yeah.
August 2019, so over half a decade ago. But when I think of FaZe Clan, it is impossible for me to not think of that Clubhouse matchup against that Team Empire squad, as it was, I will say, there's not a lot of surprises that we have in Siege, Jesse, but that certainly was one of them, and it remains very vivid in my mind some 6 years later. Completely different team now, completely different roster, frankly, completely different game. So, can't really compare it to that, but it is fun to reminisce about the old days. And I mean, FaZe Clan obviously have put their focus on other maps at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible to look back through the years and realize just how old you are, Parker. This has been a pretty successful.
Thank you. You didn't miss it.
Cash extension clear by FaZe Clan. They've lost nobody so far, but look how strong the con hold is. This is kind of interesting. Hers getting aggressive now on the Azami. This will be a certain fight, but he somehow escapes it with no damage dealt or received. Makes it right back to his teammates. Of course, has that clash of nade playing with him inside of con, now backing off the Logi. So information being held by Furia in that engagement. But they've given up even more space without doing a whole lot for it. I think time still looks pretty good from FaZe Clan. They've got every dimension that they could want, with the logistics being pushed now, the main breach being opened as well. They really don't have any disadvantage, except for now when Cyber goes down to KZ.
The most consistent player on the side of Furia in this second half has been KZ, and his reign of terror has not ended, at least not yet. Birds will gun down handy as FaZe Clan are just face-checking all of these angles. KZ will pick up his second, and barely any damage has been done to Furia as Herds picks up number 2 as well. All of the kills on the side of Furia on the same players until Jamie92 gets the last kill to send the round away. 4 in a row now from Furia as they sit on match point. They have yet to be beaten on defense. And FaZe Clan just continue to run head first into a brick wall. The timeout in the previous round did not pay off in the slightest. Frankly, none of these rounds have been very close since the side swap came in, Jesse.
You're not wrong, Parker. FaZe Clan have really struggled on this attacking half, which is odd considering they are the best attacking team in the South America League. 62% overall attacking win rate is ridiculous for a game that usually leans defender-sided on the whole. Now, of course, FaZe Clan have won a lot, so they lead in many statistics, but even still, this is one of those games where you really expected FaZe Clan to show up a little bit tighter on the offensive side. A 6-3 lead now for Furia. I mean, it's been nearly 24 hours since they've blown a 6-3 lead on Clubhouse, so really no telling how the rest of this game will go, but even still, FaZe Clan need to find some kind of an answer to the aggression that Furia are bringing. Even when they concede ground for the first 2 minutes of a round, they're not letting FaZe Clan set up for a push. They're still holding aggressive angles on the Logi hatch, on the site windows, and they're managing to pick off FaZe Clan players before they can go for their push. They got to find some way to execute in the 5v5 because they've just not been able to find the answer yet.
There's 2 points to make here, Jesse, is that number 1, Clubhouse is among the most defender-sided maps in the map pool right now in South America League. It's sitting at almost 58% of all rounds won by the defenders. I mean, most of these maps are within that 41 to 59% range. 41% of rounds won by the attackers, 59% rounds won by the defenders. So you've got a great attacking team in FaZe Clan. They're attacking a map they're not very comfortable on, and they're attacking one of the most defender-sided maps. I mean, granted, I did not expect to see FaZe Clan getting blown out this badly on the second half. I expected a bit more pep and a bit more fight out of them, but I mean, when Furia, this is now my second point, when Furia, known as W7M at the time, basically reinvented how you defend maps, one of the greatest examples of their defensive prowess was on Clubhouse. The way that they played this map, the way that they defended, they basically took what SSG popularized as that SSG roam, which was the Mute Mozzie Vigil Castle roam that we saw all over the map for a long period of time, and they went even harder. You know, SSG walked so that W7M team on defense could run. And now, I mean, this is the same, effectively the same core of guys. This is the same group of players who are still very, very good at playing offense on defense.
KZ almost got a freebie kill into Souls. He's got a pre-placed Nitro Cell at the bottom of these stairs, and it does not find a mark. But with that Valcam watching the buck the whole time, that was almost a disaster. Really smart from Souls not to walk down those stairs until he had the IQ come through and clear out that camera. That could have been devastatingly bad. KZ had just a pre-placed Nitro right there, and it does pop, and it doesn't find a kill. So cool and patient from FaZe Clan. They don't manage to fall for that trap, even if the Valcam did exist for a little bit longer than they would have liked. They do see another one still up on the top floor, but it's not really going to be the priority right now. They need to start working on these floorboards. It's really just the buck of Souls that can do this vertical destruction, so even more reason for him to stay alive into this mid-round and late round as we get towards the push. Needs to be the guy that's covering from up above. You've got Vita King, Monty Main himself, holding the defuse kit, hoping to get it down somewhere in the site, and he drops the hatch now.
And I mean, look at this. Everybody's still alive. FaZe Clan have avoided fighting. They lose KDS. Felipox almost dies. Finally will at the hands of Handy as Vita King on a single point of HP is successful with the diffuser. Man of the hour, though, KZ, who's been immortal on this second side of the map until now, will trade himself out. 2v2 with no more Vita King, leaving it to a 1v2. Soul's the only soul that remains. Double-digit kills for Herds and JV, and Herds will find his 13th as they now head for the diffuser. JV92 will have the honors of counter-disabling, and FaZe Clan will get swept aside on Furia's map. Furia taking 5 in a row, 4 in a row, an impressive stretch for them as the side swap really was the story. They do what needs to be done, grabbing their own map, but now sit up 1-0 as they'll stare down FaZe on Lair, looking for a 2-0 victory.
Cool, calm, and collected, Parker. You had no idea that they got blown out by this team just yesterday in a 2-0 fashion. They look absolutely unbeatable on Clubhouse. Those defenses were perfect with huge individual moments from everybody coming out on Furia. It was some nice moments from FaZe Clan in there as well, but it just didn't seem to matter when Furia are playing that good.
Oh, Furia looked indomitable. That second half was a masterclass in how to approach Clubhouse. The way that they held map control, the way that they fought FaZe Clan's aggression head on, it all worked out. But we had an opportunity to talk about the game during the game. What does our desk think about what we saw of map 1?
Thank you, boys. I think overall, it might have meant that that game against NIP that went 8-7 that Furia played just yesterday to get to the grand final was probably just going to be a warm-up for this one, because anything that they could have faced that was a problem, they dealt with it very swiftly and still did not let a single defense fall, whether it's the back of a Herds 3K, a JV92 4K, they had all the plays that they needed, Jack, and overall, FaZe just looked like they had nothing if it wasn't just trying to get some default defenses in order.
It was absolutely phenomenal, and it was hanging in the balance this game actually until Furia really took it over. When we got to the end of round 5, it was a 3-2 scoreline to FaZe. I thought generally they'd been pretty decent. They started out pretty dominantly on their defenses. Furia actually looked a little bit lost. Then they started playing a lot of the Blackbeard, a lot of the Blitz, those types of shield operators. That really turned it, but really for me, Leo, it was round 6. It was when Herds managed to get that big 4K out there on the Blackbeard, up on the rafters, and he really managed to make that huge difference on an individual basis, just charging at people, just kill after kill after kill after kill. And from there, I don't know what happened. It's like something snapped, because then FaZe, who was so good yesterday at dealing with this aggression that Furia were bringing out, they succumbed to Herds with a 4K, like you say. They then succumbed to KZ, getting a big 3K on the Frost. Then they succumbed to JV, getting a big 4K on the Wamai, again on the Rafters position. Then it's a flawless round. Like, FaZe just had in the middle part, and their early attacks just fell apart, Leo.
Yeah, I think looking back at those highlights here, we still see the beginning, right? We still see FaZe default setups really close to each other, abusing the Mira, the Wamai, and the Azami, forcing Furia to try and problem solve utility, and that was annoying. And then look at this. You see the Blitz, you see the Ying, and that was the crutch operators. Either Blitz or Blackbird plus Ying combo to enable executes on the bomb site, to enable them to problem solve the utility in front of them. And that was the case on round 3, when they execute onto cache on the server breach. And then on the round 6, when they use the Blackbird to remove a strong player into the garage. And I think the 3 rounds put in attack, that was a real story for me. I knew going into defense that would be really good. And that by the way, like those individual moments, look at this, like Souls one getting that spawn pick was actually crazy, but that's just not enough. When Furious tuned in, like you said, you have Hertz dropping crazy amount of kills like this round, for example, and then you have the KZ roam on the Frost, you have JV. Everyone on the side of Furia has their big moments, on top of having generally a better game plan and strategic overview of what they're doing.
Yeah, and those were the plays yesterday that FaZe was shutting down, right? When they were coming up against Fury yesterday, we saw one highlight round from Hertz, and that was it. Fury were really dealing with it. They were putting themselves in tradable positions. For 3 rounds across this game, they really let that go today, and that was the definition between ultimately being competitive and a win and a loss. Like, look at this here. JV 1, then 2, then he swings a third, gets
and the 4th,
third, and then the 4th with the pistol, right? That was being shut down yesterday. That's the difference.
The last time the FaZe Clan played Clubhouse, that was Playday 4 against Black Dragons. They got only 2 rounds on defense, then went to attack and didn't win a single round in that second half. That was Playday 4. They didn't play Clubhouse the entire rest of the stage up to this point when Furia picked it against them, because it almost looked like Furia was just trying to find a way to manipulate the ban phase to get any advantage over a FaZe team that has been playing excellently. But ultimately, FaZe Clan only won 1 more round this game than in that BD matchup, and it doesn't really matter. You can't get very much momentum if you keep on having individual players on Furia getting multi-kills the same way they were in this match, Leo.
No, absolutely not. And maybe the reality is that FaZe struggles on that map. Maybe they don't understand that map the same way that Furia does. And maybe they don't understand it to the extent that they do on Chalet yesterday, for example, or on Lair. Maybe they don't understand what are the tools at their disposal on Clubhouse to really shut down the aggression. I think one round that really highlights that, whenever they were trying to clear that roam on Church bomb site and they were struggling to kill KZ, who was able to rotate from Jacuzzi Pool back down from the gym hatch, rotate all the way through bar, go back down to site, punish a couple of players. That just never happened on Chalet yesterday. And maybe it's just a map thing. Maybe they just don't understand it to the same extent on this one. And maybe that's just something that's going to be, I guess, very different on the other maps that they know by heart.
There's one big thing that I think we've seen from the guys on Furia so far. It's the fact that Hertz feels like he's having a bit of a resurgent stage in this case, Jack. I think there were times where it's like, oh, if Hertz doesn't show up, the rest of Furia is not going to play very well. But ultimately, these past couple of games, especially over this playoff stretch, he's been performing pretty immaculately, and that game was another showcase.
There's a night and day difference between him during the stage to him at playoffs, and he's just been phenomenal. He is that high risk, high reward player, but it really pops off, and he was really the catalyst, I thought, for Furia today. That huge round to get them back level on the 3-3 split was massive for them going into their defensive half, because it really felt like they woke up at that point. And he does this. He will be in a lot of entry engagements. He will be often quite solo across the map, but he will find rounds, particularly on his own, just out of absolutely nowhere. And when he's firing, there is nobody stopping him. And actually, I will say, for the whole of the Furia frontline, Hertz, JV, and KZ, all massive kills today, all double digits, all positive in the entry. That is exactly what you want when you're Furia and you're Philippox and your Nade. You're sat behind your front line and they are absolutely dominating.
And going back to Hertz, especially this weekend, he was the only player yesterday that was a standout player for FaZe, against FaZe, sorry. He was on 20 kills. He was the only player that was positive, the only one that was putting in the work. Then he moves on to NIP. He was the standout player on the game against NIP as well. He dropped 36 kills, and he was the guy that got the triple kill all the way at the end to bring them to the grand finals. He enters that grand final, and he's the one, again, that enables that rejuvenation on the side of Furia with that 4K on Blackbird in attack to get their third attacking round. He's the guy right now that was dropping hard the ball during the stage, overpicking, getting punished too much, and he's the one that right now is standing out for Furia and is the real difference maker for these guys.
Yeah.
Genuinely just feels like Furia were picking up right where they left off from that Furia match, or from that NIP matchup. They knew what they were walking into against the FaZe team that don't like Clubhouse very much. But that's also going to be the only new ground we see for this entire series, because for the rest of this grand final, it's all territory that we've already tread over between these two squads. So we got to get a couple repeat maps in there, because there might be a Lair, there might be a Brink, there might be a Lair. It's definitely Lair for map 2, because FaZe Clan beat them on at 7-5, but it was still really close. So we'll see if Furia have any answers and can end this thing in 2-0 fashion after a quick break.
You know how they say it's not the destination, it's the journey?
And the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And you know what?
They're right.
The response to a very strong Clubhouse from Furia might just be a map that ultimately there are not that many teams in Brazil or South America in general that really have decided that they want to add it to their repertoire, but the current world champs very clearly have. So far, they are 2-0 on Lair over the course of the regular season. They have yet to lose it. They beat 9Z and then beat Furia just yesterday 7-5 in their latest game in the upper bracket. Furia have kind of admitted it's not a very great map for them, and the only time they've played it so far this stage was against FaZe Clan, but now we have to go back to it again. That's just the way the ban phase is shook out ultimately, but there are some differences now that we should observe about how this Lair might go, Leo.
Yeah, I think Furia was fine letting FaZe pick it again. And I think the reason for this is that was the closest map yesterday. It was a 7-5 for FaZe, and I think there were a couple of reasons for that. The reason it was closer was because Furia started in defense, exactly like they will start in defense right now. And they won every single opening engagement of the defense. Opening kill upon opening kill. It was JV92 and Felipox, and it was a great show. But despite winning 6 opening kills in a row in defense, they only took away 2 defenses because they struggled to stay together. They struggled to play towards the late round. They struggled to deny the plant on the side of FaZe. That's something that they need to learn, and that's something that they need to move on right now. And when they move to attack, I think a second thing that's key here is that we saw struggles on the side of FaZe. They were moving too much, and that's why Furia got 3 attack wins yesterday. So one thing they should punish right now is the movement from FaZe when they're in defense. Try to pick them apart. Try to abuse the Grim like yesterday, and like they've done today on Clubhouse.
Overall thoughts for this one, Fresh? They can't play Lair the exact same way that they played it just yesterday, right? Or are we literally about to see deja vu?
I don't think we're going to see deja vu. I think what we're going to see is Furia definitely will have looked at where they went wrong yesterday. And like you said, they're moving around a bit too much from FaZe Clan. I think they're going to expect FaZe Clan to be quite compact and try and play as a team and be close together. And ultimately, I think when that happens, they need to look to this guy hard to be the front man. We just spoke about him in the last game, actually, the last map, and how good he was. And I do just want to point out that now across playoffs, he is over 100 kills only inside of the playoffs. That's how stark the contrast has been when you've got 170 kills in totality. So he's been phenomenal inside the playoffs compared to the regular stage there.
So he had what, 70 kills across 9 maps in a regular stage. He was struggling hard, I remember that, and he had like a really negative KD. And so now he's dropped 100 kills in what, a couple of matches, like 4 matches?
Yeah.
That's
1,
actually
2,
insane.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 maps. So only 1 more map in the round robin, but that ratio on kills is insane. That's
I make it
genuinely insane.
105 to 81 on the KD only in playoffs. If my math is
wow.
crazy.
And
this is
so,
also, by the way, this is also without an extensive lower bracket run. This is only after dropping one series overall, and the two series that they played up until they played FaZe yesterday were both 2-0. So yeah, that's extremely impressive from Herds right now.
Yeah, he's been so good. He's come alive.
Yeah.
I think he's a make or break player for Furia. That's really a big story for me, because across the stage, what made Furia inconsistent in so many of these rounds close was because Hertz was costing them. Because he's usually the guy that finds the gap. The problem is that either he finds a gap, either the enemy finds him, and that's a straight opening death. And like, he brings nothing to the table when he goes for those aggressive pushes and dies instantly. And that's been a flip coin thing with him for a very long time. And when he's on, when he's really, wired in, and today he was doing it on Blackbird, which I think is crazy, by the way, a shield player. And when he does that for the team, he's such an important player for that lineup, because then the rest of the team perfectly knows how to thrive around this. It's a very similar playstyle and LMAO loves calling. Opportunity seeking, if they find that around Hertz, the entirety of the team knows how to play around it so well, but if he doesn't find it, then they're struggling a little bit. And that's, right now, the consistent thing with them, especially on Clubhouse, and maybe something he's about to do on Lair.
I do kind of agree with Parker's point from earlier. There's probably not a crazy general level of concern around FaZe, mostly because it's a Clubhouse scenario, and it's not the end of the world because there are still two very good maps that FaZe Clan did just beat Furia on yesterday. So let's see if it's possible to jump right back into it and get FaZe into this series. Parker and Jesse now have Lair.
Thank you very, very much. We're in the op ban phase. Jesse, we didn't get to go on camera. They didn't get to see how great you look despite how sick you feel, but now you get to see somebody's favorite operator get taken out of action. 4 of them, in fact. And the operator bans on the side of the defense are the same. Kaid and Bandit will be removed just as they were at the start of Clubhouse. But the attacker bans look a little different.
Yeah, interesting attacker bans. Kaid Bandit are the most commonly banned operators on Lair, so not a huge story there, but excuse me, Dokkaebi and Ace coming out. That is interesting.
Oh, you're sick. We get it. Oh.
Usually you see shield bans coming out like crazy on this map, but I guess Furia just do not care about FaZe Clan's ability to play shields. They say Vidiking, play the Monty all you want. Handy, go ahead, have fun on the Blackbeard, the Blitz, KDS as well, who cares? FaZe will immediately take advantage of that. And I mean, Furia are no strangers to these weird operator bans. We didn't really touch on it, but it was a Nomad ban on the defensive side of Clubhouse from Furia. And I mean, they really did kind of take over the map with that. Some big aggressive plays that were really enabled by it. I think this Dokkaebi ban kind of comes down much the same way, where you're going to be allowed to play a lot more freely out on the roam game. You're going to be playing offsite. If you're going to be playing away from the bomb site, that Dokkaebi ban could be absolutely critical, and we're already seeing that out of Hertz. The Death talked him up non-stop for good reason. Currently starting in the basement in Warehouse for a top floor defense.
I loved Leo's assessment of Herds, is that, when he talked about Herds' aggression, there are times where Herds is just completely ineffective. If he gets too aggro and is just constantly first frag, he provides nothing to this team. And I mean, Herds is not alone.
Yeah.
It's the role that he plays on. If you're a fragger, if you're playing on a role that has active gadgetry, either on attack or defense, if your sole goal is to get kills, and you're not accomplishing that, and you're just dying repeatedly, you're doing absolutely nothing. Your team is effectively at a 4v5, and there have been plenty of games where Furia finds themselves in that situation. Baby92 is a sensational player who took a bit of a backseat in the previous match. Despite breaking double digits, it was KZ and Herds who tended to be on the tip of our tongues most frequently. Baby92's found himself in an early fight against the Hibana of Cyber and the Blackbeard of KDS. Handy with the leadoff pick onto Herds. What did we say? Early deaths for Herds does not bode well for Furia, and that's the exact circumstance Furia finds themselves in.
Yeah, by far the most commonly openly engaged player. KZ follows him, so the entry to a both ball from Furia. It's a huge fight coming down here in the hallway with JV92 facing pressure from all fronts. Needs to back off to get some help from Philippox. It's a good crossfire they have now here onto the bathroom door, but with the Monty, I'm not sure it's going to really amount to a whole lot. They do clear out Cyber, which is nice for them, but the push still looks really strong from FaZe just in this hallway.
Need to reload. Two of the best players from Furia now in the ground. Cyber, who had a pretty good game in map number 1. Admittedly, very few players on FaZe Clan looked good numbers-wise. KDS will tear through JV92. KDS among the highest rated players in the entire region, and for a period of time, the highest rated player in the entire region. He'll die at the hands of Philippox now, as it's the support players. That still remains. Souls and Vidaking on the side of FaZe Clan. Philippox and Nade on the side of Furia. We gave them their roses and their flowers in map number 1. What can they put together now as it's support core versus support core? Nade tearing through Souls, and does so with Vidaking as well. Lined up so perfectly onto the door frame, and the Mira with Vector in hand gets the job done. Furia wins yet another round in a row. FaZe Clan have been held off of the scoreboard for almost 45 minutes at this point. It's going to be a long climb for them. Obviously, new map, new day, and it's also your map. So keep that in mind while we talk about Lair. Lair was played just above 50 rounds during the group stages and into the playoffs now. And it is defender-sided, like most would suspect, but not by a huge margin. 45% of rounds won by the attackers, 55% of rounds won by the defenders. So good enough for a 4-2 scoreline to be the most probable, just based on what we know of this map. If that's the case, Furia should aim for 4 rounds during their first defensive stead. The only other time they'd move back to defense would be in overtime. If Furia struggles early, that might be the proverbial canary in the coal mine for this map, as FaZe have their work cut out for them. They have to win the next 2 in a row to be the best team in the region.
Yeah, and we have to go back to analyze that past round, Parker. I mean, that was a 4v2 advantage for FaZe Clan, where they should have been able to close that one out. They had 2 shields alive to try to find those last 2 players, but Nade's able to just step up, get aggressive with a 2v4 disadvantage, and start working picks. Ended up getting 3 of those last 4 kills, and I think that kind of showcases why Furia didn't feel like they needed to ban the shields, because even when they've got these tools available to them on FaZe Clan, they don't feel like they need to use them in a way that is going to be so aggressive. It's going to find those last couple players. They can still find ways around the shields to get good picks. It was really well played by Nade.
Aurora showing up for FaZe Clan. We've seen some pretty inventive Aurora strats, as the new operator to the game has yet to really establish a proper foothold in the meta. The newest operator, you could very obviously argue, is Clash, as Clash did get the rework with the release of CJX. It'll be nice to see if there's any new tech under the hood, which might be part of the reason why they moved over to CJX from just the regular Rainbow Six Siege. What new operators can bring to the table. I know some of our colleagues are more aware of upcoming content than others. I like to stay in the dark about new stuff because it makes my reaction a bit more genuine. See if it's as impactful as some of the other operators we've seen added as of late. Furia is having their day right now as they've got the first 2 picks officially at the halfway point. It's up to Handy and the 2 support players from FaZe Clan. That's all that's left. Good news, though, they've still got the Monty on the board, but Vidaking did not find the most success in the previous round with the operator, largely because the rest of the team completely collapsed.
And again, it's early aggressive swings, right? Fury are not letting FaZe Clan get set up for their execute. They're taking these gunfights before FaZe Clan start their push, and now it's a big man disadvantage once again. This is what all of Clubhouse looked like when Fury were on the defense. So we're right back to business as usual. FaZe Clan need to find an answer. We'll get some good info onto Nade's position, but they've just been stalling out for the last 30 seconds, Parker, and they're just getting flanked by herds.
Oh, speaking of, his 3rd kill comes as he breaks the shield and tussles with Vidaking, and the 2 supports are down on the side of FaZe Clan. Flawless round in hand at the moment for Furia. JV92 goes for the peek after KZ had taken a lot of damage in a similar spot. Explosion goes off, dealing damage to Handy, but he's still alive up against 4 players from Furia. There's not a lot of time left. Handy's tucked himself into a corner in stock, looking for a way out. Nitro Cell goes off. No damage is done, though. Handy's just biding time at this point. I don't know if with 10 seconds on the clock, Jesse, he's going to be able to accomplish too much. Takes down Nade, immediately traded out by Philippox, and another round for Furia. They won 5 in a row to take Clubhouse. They've won 2 in a row here. That's 7 rounds uncontested by Furia, as FaZe Clan look like they just have not shown up whatsoever today.
And again, I mean, I'm going to be a broken record, but we got to keep mentioning it. Every gunfight that gets taken, it's going to be somebody on Furia that's in control. It's somebody on Furia going for a flank like Herds did in that round, or it's somebody from Furia going for a swing, going for a peek, taking the aggressive angle. It's never FaZe that are in control of these engagements, despite the fact that they have the Monty, right? I mean, that should be what the Shield enables you to do. The Shield can walk in, get the information. The Shield can't die. So then you can kind of take control of when and where those gunfights end up happening. FaZe Clan just have not been able to control the starts of these fights, and so Furia have absolutely been able to run away with them. Just looking so dominant in these entry picks when it comes down to the defense. I said it last map, I'm going to say it again. FaZe Clan, statistically, the best attacking team inside of South America, but they didn't win one offensive round on Clubhouse. They're 0 for 2 now on Lair, and you know, I thought you had a good point on the last map that Clubhouse is defender-sided and FaZe Clan aren't so familiar with it. This is FaZe Clan's pick. They need to be comfortable attacking this map because they're the ones who chose it, and if they don't, well, they're walking home with second place in the SAL.
And Jesse, you giving me some credit here. It really does warm my heart to know that you can say such nice things about me. I'm going to leak the last 2 messages that you just sent me. The moment that map 1 ended, Jesse sent me the following messages. Message number 1, great points that game. Message number 2, you are casting less stupid than normal. This is the type of thing that makes us such great acquaintances.
Thank you. I stand by everything I say.
I appreciate that. I'm amazed that you were able to take some time between the maps and your current addiction to The Sims to say such nice things to me.
As I've been sick, it's been my comfort game. What can I say? Sims 3, by the way, old school.
I mean, I don't think they sponsor us. I don't even know if you're allowed to talk about them. You know, the one that always gets me from The Sims that I always laugh at is they have simoleon or whatever the language is.
Yeah.
Is that when they burn themselves or hurt themselves, they go ooch instead of ouch? Every day, ooch. It has now worked its way into my regular day-to-day vocabulary. My brain is just fried at this point.
Parker, this round is getting a little fried for FaZe Clan too. They've been trying to clear out this top floor. They've got some good hard bridge work going, and they're continuing that with this Habana charge here over on the office wall. Hoping to find a pick, but this is such a tough nut to crack. When you've got defenders just playing inside of our 6 room, it is really difficult to root them out of these positions. We see pro teams fail at this more often than not. Nobody on Fury is taking risks this time because they know just how strong their positions really are.
Vidiking on the board for FaZe Clan. That's a huge sigh of relief. FaZe Clan were good in the first half of Clubhouse with drawing first blood, but they've been quite poor since. Leapox answers back as Souls have been dropped. Souls without a kill at this point. Cyber marching in, asserting himself. Down goes Philippox, and that part of the main floor has now been surrendered. Black Mirror will need to be vacated as up on the very top floor, KZ is punished. FaZe Clan have spread out all over this map very effectively. And every single one of these Furia players, though they had gadgets and reinforcements in front of them, didn't really have much support beyond that. That is part of the problem that comes with playing so spread out. If you're going to spread your forces thin, it's not going to be too hard for them to cut through it. It took about 54 minutes, but FaZe Clan have finally won another round. 7 were won in a row by Furia just before we got to this point. And again, if you look at the traditional scoreline of defenders winning 4 and attackers winning 2 on Lair, we are exactly where both of these teams need to be at the halfway point of this first half.
It's an important one for FaZe to walk away with. Obviously, Bunk's briefing can be a tough nut to crack, as I said in the last game, but FaZe Clan are 2 for 2 this season. Winning that round will make it 3 for 3, so they are strong at attacking at this stage, I should say, not this season. So they have a strong record attacking on Bunks and briefing, and they should be feeling pretty good walking away with that victory. We'll get into operator bans, and Furia will respect ban the shield from Vidiking. Again, I didn't think it was having a huge amount of impact in those first 2 rounds, but the fact that it's being brought so much, and the fact that historically, I think Vidiking has been one of the best kind of passive Monty players in Siege. I think that's still a very solid ban coming through. The Clash ban as well, a bit of respect being shown to Nade, who was rocking this operator earlier on the top floor on this bomb site. So fair play to go on from both sides, and we'll try this second quarter with FaZe Clan hoping that they can walk away with maybe a 3-3, 4-2 at the very least.
I mean, if FaZe Clan can find their footing, which has been far from certain, though they did beat expectations on that first half of Clubhouse, and I will need to give them some credit for that. I mean, the 3 rounds defending is about what you come to expect. At bare minimum, you need to hit 4, potentially even 5 on Clubhouse. It really does depend on stylistic matchup and operator bans, etc. But, I mean, FaZe Clan did perform better on Clubhouse than, you know, they did against Black Dragons. I said that I thought FaZe Clan would win just simply because that's what you have to say on the desk. I lie. They ask me for predictions and I just lie because I think sometimes it makes the desk more fun. I don't actually care. I don't actually care which of these teams win. Well, I mean, I think it's a storyline. If everybody just goes into a match and they all say the same thing, if every single person is like, yeah, no questions asked, Furia is going to win, I think it's kind of boring. You need somebody to inject a little bit of spice. So you just say, yeah, FaZe Clan's going to win the map. Why not? And then somebody's like, haha, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm like, haha, I don't know what I'm talking about. And everybody laughs and then we move on with our lives. But here right now, I mean, FaZe Clan on attack, on Lair are where they need to be. They beat their own expectations on that first half of Clubhouse, then fell behind the map's expectations, fell behind the second half entirely. Now they need to show something because FaZe Clan have not looked like themselves so far. They dropped their first map of the playoffs, and now they're on their own map. There's no excuse for poor play to continue.
Pressure inside of the green hall, starting up at the top floor with KZ. The initial point of engagement playing on this smoke. You might think it's odd to see KZ on a smoke, but he's in an aggressive position, and this is the operator that you need to hold down this hallway, so it really does come down to where they want the operator to be played. Finds the Blackbeard now, a bullet into the foot of Handy. Won't do a whole lot for him, though. This will be his last Toxic Babe to stop Cyber from entering in through the balcony doorway. The rest of this FaZe Clan team, though, I mean, are they even around? Souls is all the way over in Ops. This whole hallway push might just be a bait.
KDS has been dropped. Maybe baited in is the correct way of going about it. KZ with the pick onto the downed player of KDS. For a long time, the highest rated player in the entire region. Vidiking seemingly confused by JV92's position. The Elitaire's right through him, and Furia's Reign of Terror continues right where it left off. A great play by Handy to eliminate 2 of the huge threats on the side of Furia. They'll now be boxed out of this bomb site. Cut off by the flames, shot out by the Shumika launcher of Phillypox. Handy with 5 kills. Handy is not the player who should be topping FaZe Clan's kill charts at the moment. If he's up there, well, something is very likely wrong. It'd be the same if like Vidiking was at the top. The 3 remaining players from Furia will just ride out the final 30 seconds, waiting for what little remains of the Blackbeard to encroach upon the bomb site. They had shots through the wall, they had shots through the door frame, and finally JV92's connect as Furia goes back to winning, and their lead regains that 2-round stretch they were on just moments before that round began.
Andy, the former SI MVP, he can do a lot in a bad situation, but I think that's a lot even for him to be able to come back from. I said they were trying to bait them with that kind of storage hall push that was coming out from FaZe Clan. You will find in the wild, if you try to use some bait to catch a wild panther, it does not go so well, and I think FaZe Clan unfortunately suffering much of the same problems, not really being able to clear past through Furia, not able to trick them, whilst they were really doing a good job distracting the smoke over towards storage hall. The ops players were also being dealt with very nicely by Furia. It didn't feel like there was anything that they were unaware of happening on the side of FaZe Clan, so they locked down their 3rd defense here on Lair, feeling nice about that one. We'll go down to the basements. Last time we were on this site, Parker, FaZe Clan went very direct, just in through the garage with Vidiking on that Monty, and it was early swings from Furia that really caught them off guard, allowed them to go down. They never touched the roam clear too much. KZ is hoping to take advantage of that, roaming top floor on the Scopos. Compare that with a Dokkaebi ban too, and this could be a really nasty play. Not exactly brand new. Well, many teams have done this, and with the run out, they will certainly know it is in the cards, but interesting to see what he can get away with from this aggressive position.
Ooh. Good thing you've still got another bot for KZ to go to, as the Scopos takes a bit of damage in that very first bit of action. It trips FaZe Clan up. Lair is a huge map. If you're having troubles gaining information and gaining a foothold on your entry, then unpredictability can be the name of the game. I think that's what Furia was going for in round number 3, but they were all just playing solo and got picked off by a well-read FaZe Clan. He's now bringing tools to try to hunt down these roamers. EE1D goes off from Souls, who's yet to get on the board, yet to find a kill. The only player in the lobby yet to do so, and for a player of his stature and caliber, that's not ideal, even if he does play on a support role.
KDS down early. That's the Sledge, an important operator to take off the boards. Fleetfox on this armory extension up above. Will be happy to just fall back to site if he wants to. As soon as he wastes enough time on this clock, he's still got the Fenrir in mind to stop the player from walking in range. That's King currently suffering with blindness due to that gadget. And as the fire comes in, he's in a tough spot. Fleetfox still not trying to make it his way to the hatch. Again, I'm assuming that his goal is to get out here and not die, but there's other fights happening around the map. JV92 won't get out to sight. Souls finds him on the line. Another swing for Fleetfox finds him as well.
FaZe Clan now with the upper hand. KZ is swapped on over, so now he's back at full HP, maybe sacrificing the other drone in the process, or the other robot in the process. That's not me calling these players bots, unless somebody hear that and think that I'm openly belittling the competitors on your screen. FaZe Clan with those two picks, though, now need to capitalize off of that advantage for the final minute. Herds will reduce the numbers, make it a 3v3 as Handy tries to get closer to the bomb site quite quickly. It's a goo mine in the process. Down goes Nade, impact in pocket. KZ flashed out, but he's fearless in his position. He might have something to fear now, as there's lots of time for FaZe Clan to settle in and get that diffuser down. KZ is the last hope for Furia in this round, as FaZe Clan have tripled up on him. King will do his job while Handy and Cyber watch over that diffuse plant being planted successfully. You know KZ's above, and through the hatch that was opened by Furia, KZ will die. The setup that they hoped would help them on defense ends up being their undoing, and FaZe Clan wins their second round. That's right where they need to be. A third round would be a cherry on top and put them in excellent position for the side swap to come at the tail end of this upcoming round.
Yeah, great from Cyber to kind of find the gap in the 3v3. While his teammates were both focused over towards Filter, it was Handy and King that were engaging mostly with those Filter players of Herds and KZ. Cyber was on the buck. He was over inside of lobby. He got the initial pick vertically thanks to that buck play. Then he dropped the hatch deep into Toxin, took down Herds, and had just that second dimension to the push that really changed the game for FaZe Clan. I think if it's a one-dimensional kind of linear push, maybe with two guys on the filter stairs and one on the hatch to drop down into office, that probably doesn't go so well. But because Cyber kind of got behind the enemy team, because he was able to add that second dimension, I think it really did turn that move around. So great job to Cyber to be able to close that one out and really find that opportunity in the chaos of the mid-round.
Cyber is a bit of an enigma. He has terrific games where he can stack up with the best of the best. His mechanical ability has been talked about on the broadcast, and I could talk about it until I'm blue in the face, but I prefer to keep my color. But very similar to what was said about Herds, Cyber plays on a role where if he's not fragging, if he's roaming and getting picked off repeatedly with active gadgetry, for those that might not be aware, is somebody like a Smoke, for example. You have an active gadget. You have to use that gadget. An operator like Aruni or Jaeger, those are passive gadgets. You set them down. They exist whether you die or not. So if Cyber's playing an operator with active gadgetry and he dies, or if on attack the same thing happens, his value that he's providing to the team is non-existent. Just as we point fingers at Herds playing like that, the same can be said for Cyber. I will say today, Cyber has been on board with what FaZe Clan are trying to do. He has, in my eyes, been the best player through these two maps. The rest of the team now, it's incumbent upon them to pick it up. It cannot just be the Cyber show. You need that supporting cast, which FaZe Clan has in spades. Their depth is quite impressive. Needs those other four players to match him. Handy's been trying, but the other three, on their roles, I know it's tough, but they need to bring a little bit more against Furia.
We're headed towards a 3-3 half unless Furia can change history. They lost this bomb site the first time they played it. Now they're going to be running it back once again. Bunks and briefing. Good drones from FaZe Clan. Spots Herds inside the site. Very much the anchor position now, but playing all alone. Nade needs to be really careful. He's got players on both sides of him. One on the window and then two in the hallway. He is in a really tough spot.
It's rodeo going on right now. Bees Zombie barriers. Vidaking sweeps through as Nate had to pick one way, pick the other way. He misses out. A nice shot now from Herds, and he collects on both. God, he makes it look so easy. Herds almost got an ace in the first map. 4 kills that was taken away by, I believe it was JV92. Herds with 13 kills. When Clubhouse ended, he's already halfway there, and we aren't even through the first half. 7 kills for Herds. KZ will get on the board now as Souls dies. And FaZe Clan have their best player of Cyber still alive. It's him and KDS doing some serious damage. KDS with 1 traded out immediately. Furia will not allow FaZe Clan to take a breath at all. They are just continuing to dogpile these players. Cyber gets Philippox on a fight that should have been won by the Mute. This has opened things up now with 30 seconds left. Cyber in a much more winnable position, and FaZe Clan in a much more winnable position than they were 20, 30 seconds prior. Cyber doesn't have access to the diffuser, so he'll have to make a ton of noise to find these final 2 players. I don't think objective play will be the focus here. KZ swings a bit too early. He's given his position away. JV92 is on the main floor, miles away, but he won't be a factor. KZ blocks out Cyber, and 4-2 for the defenders on Lair is about as predictable as they come. Furia and FaZe Clan both doing what needs to be done in this first half. Now it's up to FaZe Clan to do the same, close the gap, go to OT, or better yet, it's their map and they're defending. Do better and close this out without needing OT.
Furia 3 rounds away from being the champions of South America. They love a title like that. It's been a while since we've seen them there. Over 2 years since this core have made #1 in South America or Brazil. Haven't actually won a stage since 2022 stage 3. So this would be a big game changer for Furia to finally achieve that crown once again. It's a long time coming. We talk a lot about Herds. The desk yapped about him through the break. We had to talk about him in that round too. And you said it, Parker, and he makes it look so easy. A big part of it is just his raw mechanics. Herds has the highest headshot percentage in the South America League at 74%. And sometimes people hear headshot percentage in Siege, they roll their eyes because it is, I think, somewhat a misleading stat. When it's applied to a player like Herds, I think it really does highlight how insanely good his crosshair placement is, how smart he is with his swings, and how consistent he is at just hitting those really tough to find headshots that we have in Siege to get those one-shot kills. Just for a bit of context, the second highest headshot percentage in this game is Cyber, so I would argue the 2 most mechanically gifted entry fraggers in this game. Cyber's only at 61, 13 points behind what Herds is putting up on this statistic, and that's been a career consistent trend from Herds, where he has always been hitting a ridiculous headshot percentage all the way back to when they were world champions down in Sao Paulo. So this is just something that this guy does better than anybody else. I think his mechanics are unmatched in South America, maybe in the world. It's been really impressive to see. And FaZe Clan are what is this mirror window setup, Parker? I am what? All right. I assume they'll pop one of them at some point, which gives them a bit of a better angle. They've got the Clash here as well. I would not want to push Ops if I was Furia, I'd say that.
Yeah, that's my assumption as well, is that it's temporary for them to be able to do that. I mean, it's certainly a thinker. There were days way back, and I'm talking way back when Mira first came out, when maps were smaller, maps were different, maps had fewer bomb sites, less vertical play. Teams were nowhere near as knowledgeable where you'd see 2 black mirrors get put side by side. But nowadays, it would be considered extremely wasteful. FaZe Clan, though, obviously have a plan in mind. They've popped one of those black mirrors. So your prediction was correct. The Mute Jammer underneath them will keep it safe from the Selma that was thrown out by Philippox. Once that Selma is gone, mirror window will get popped, and that's exactly what we're seeing. A good amount of time now wasted by FaZe Clan, though, as they back away from the chasm that's been opened up.
A lot of that potential for the mirror, though, will be wasted. I mean, there are a lot of good mirror spots on this bomb site that now won't get to be used, so we'll see what they can do holding this down with just their 5 players alive and the util it's going to be sitting in their pockets. Cyber close here on the mask outer wall. Interesting to see what he can do from this spot. Does look like Furia want to go for a mask push, so they've got the player down below in terms of their buck of KZ. They've got all of their players here ready to breach in and go for this plant, and now crossing through Mez as well.
It's a very forefront defense from FaZe Clan after they lost that beachhead. Cyber now gunning down Philippox. That's a devastating loss. One of the support players from Furia is off the board. FaZe Clan struggling to strike first here on Lair. They'll lose souls now at the hands of Herds, who he himself has been exceptional. Nade on the board. Down goes Cyber. Back to those support players for FaZe Clan. Handy's also gone. Furia making quick work of this. They've lost Herds. Might be in a position to be collected as the gas goes out. Vidaking tossed that one so effectively. One gadget to claim a kill. I'll make that deal every day of the week. A 3v2 now for Furia with very little time left, and they're going to be running headfirst into an area where there are shotguns pointed at them. JV92 asleep at the wheel, gets swung by Vidaking. The flash goes out. FaZe Clan dancing around that. This is FaZe Clan's round to lose, and if it's up to Vidaking, oh my, they will actually lose it! Furia overcoming the obstacles and finding the last two players of FaZe Clan to give themselves a 5th round, and the first attack of their half is successful.
You know, we saw a 2v4 clutch on that site not too long ago, Parker, just a few minutes back when it was Furia on the defense, and I thought we were about to see it again, but FaZe Clan cannot replicate that success. They go down now 5-2 on their opponent's map pick. They are in desperate situations here. Oh, sorry, that is their map pick. Even still, scoreline is not going to be favorable for them in this situation. They lost a very early critical player in Souls who was playing with the shield down quite early on the Clash. This is actually something that I feel a lot of teams are doing and are doing maybe incorrectly on the Clash. If you ever watch Nade play that operator, he is very often keeping the shield up for the vast majority of the round so that he can support his teammates. In that round, we saw the shield go down really early from Souls. He ended up swinging off of it before any of his teammates had gone down, and he ended up being the first defender to die on the Clash, which is a huge piece of utility that you then don't have for the end of the round. In the high man count situation, it was a really awkward engagement coming through from FaZe, and it will be that kind of punishes them here on Lair. And now this 5-2, Parker. I was hoping we get a very competitive game, but it just feels like Furia are in total control.
Yeah, this is vintage Furia. I know that that's a tired thing to say, but this really does look like the Furia of old.
Ready to breach.
I mean, to be able to do this on Lair is quite a feat. I was hoping for more from FaZe Clan on Clubhouse. They did beat their record by 1 round, but I mean, that's... can't really jump out of a basement window, I suppose, so just about any other way is up. Here, though, FaZe Clan, it's not that they're losing. It's not that they started on the harder side. It's how they're playing that gives me concern. Furia is all over them. FaZe Clan's guns are silent. Souls 1 in 7. Admittedly, again, on a support role, not the end of the world, but one thing that sets Souls apart, and the reason why we harp on him being one of the best, oh my, is, oh my goodness, Herd's an embarrassing duel. He probably should have beat Handy in that position, and Handy is continuing to fight from this spot. He's living far longer than he should. But no, the thing that always sets Souls apart, Jesse, was that he is so consistently good at getting kills. The fact that his gun has gone quiet is devastating. Support, though, is still hitting their marks. Handy and Vidaking with 2 picks for FaZe Clan, and they have quite the advantage now here in round number 8.
Lots of creativity with these mirror windows. The missile wall is soft with a window in it now. Definitely see the logic behind this one so that you can play it a little aggressively, and that's what Handy was trying to do, but doesn't seem to be that big of a difference maker. Everybody on the attack are falling. It's just KZ in a 1v5, and it's a flawless round, Parker, for them to stay in this game. 5-3 now.
Don't I feel like a bit of an idiot, Jesse? To quote you, you're casting less stupid than normal. As I say, FaZe Clan looks like their guns aren't coming alive, blah, 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 and then they win a flawless round seconds later. So, I mean, you might want to issue a correction here. So, that said, it's defending. It's on Lair. You knocked them off your stride. Andy was in an unpredictable spot. They thought they had the read. Herds honestly should have had that kill. He really should have. There's no reason that he couldn't get that kill, but most of his bullets seem to hit the wall instead of hitting the character. Recoil control can be a bit tricky, and with it, the whole round crumbled. One thing that does tend to happen with this Furia team, and it's been a historic problem for them, is that when things start to go bad, the whole team can collapse round by round and result in these very dramatic sweeps by their opponents. This leads people to believe that Furia are a worse team in some instances than they really are. I mean, maybe. What that screams to me, though, is that Furia have an idea that is so built upon their fragging prowess that when that falls short, they are unable to get themselves out of that position. They are so good at sticking to the plan. We talked about Team Empire back in that first map on Clubhouse and their matchup against FaZe Clan ages ago and how memorable it was, but to me, there is no better team than create a plan, stick to that plan, never deviate than that old Team Empire squad. Obviously, VP, which is the spiritual successor now with a different roster and, of course, a different organization, approach Siege in a different way. But Furia have a plan. They act upon it. And if something goes wrong, they disintegrate, just as they did in the previous round.
So KZ on the Amaru. Shopify Rebellion fans will be very aware of what this strategy looks like. It was Ambi in the North America League that had a huge round with this operator. Just jumping up the hatch inside of R6 room. Was a plant-focused strategy that time from Shopify, but also came in from big kills. So KZ hoping to get more of those frags. Herds does open us up with an entry and looking for more. Beautiful frag on his souls. Doesn't even need seem like they're gonna need that Amaru play from KZ. We won't get to see it in action as he did fall, but when you've got Herds leading the charge, does it even matter, Parker? I don't think it does.
No, I mean, when Herds is in full control, he's in full control. A very quiet game from KZ after he had so many impactful moments on map number 1. And I mean, KZ is going to play that Amaru looking to slingshot into the bomb site or up through a hatch to catch them off guard. Without that element of surprise, again, you've got to kind of go back to the drawing board. Can Furia manage that? They hold the advantage right now as we hit the halfway point of the round. If Furia can take this 4v3 lead that they find themselves in and extend it all the way to the end, then they move to series point. Not just series point, Jesse, championship point.
That's very true, and FaZe Clan are so much aware of that they need to start making some plays on the defense, though it is not easy. Windows being held, KDS has got to be careful. Somebody's got to make some kind of a swing, but it just feels like Fury are ready and waiting for it. A triple kill from a Herd, still potential for an ace now, but he's got KDS and Vidiking to find both far deeper in the site. That's the angle that was being held by the player outside the window, but it doesn't result in a kill just yet.
KDS is worse for wear. Vidiking on the board. Vidiking has been rising to the occasion consistently now here on this map, but KDS will have to do it all on his lonesome. JV92 very swiftly finds the final 2, and Furia moved to championship point.
And they just make it look easy, Parker. It seems like round after round, they are hitting beautiful shots. JV92 giving himself a compliment, as he so commonly does. He's a joker, that guy. I love JV92.
Nice shot, thank you. Wasn't it Canadian who did that way back in the day, or Skies? I think it was Skies the first time I ever saw it. Skies playing for North America said, nice shot, thank you, or something like that in chat ages ago. And speaking of Skies, he dropped out largely because he had issues with his wrist. It was something that plagued Iconic as well in North America. Skies has apparently undergone surgery for carpal tunnel and is looking to compete again. So he'd be a huge name, a former world champion back when he was on that Elevate squad that won the Console Pro League in the Console SI that was competing in Console Pro League many moons ago. Yes, those are still world champions. So all 5 of those players on Elevate did win it. Be nice to see him back in action. We'll be back in action in about 20 seconds or so as FaZe Clan on the ropes. They had yet to drop a map throughout all of the playoffs. A perfect 4-0 map point to get here. They've burned their time out and they could be 3 minutes away from handing Furia the championship.
Coach Raffadell has talked his team through tougher spots than this. They know that they have it in them to bounce back. These are the world champions we're talking about. Even though they look very much down and out, this 6-3 scoreline is only a couple round wins away from being tied up 6-6. You win that OT, and it's a brand new ball game. So, whilst I think Furia have dominated up to this point, not actually that far out of reach for FaZe Clan to equalize this series. I mean, they'll only have to win 3 to get it to overtime, and then OT's anyone's game. So we are very much still in this for FaZe. Furia cannot let their foot off the gas. The annoying thing for FaZe Clan is since they are on defense, they'll have to win 3 different bomb sites. They will not be able to go to any site back-to-back. So they'll have to be versatile on these defenses. We'll start Bunks briefing. This is a site that they have yet to play so far, so they've not found a single win so far here. Then in round 11, assuming we get there, they'll almost certainly go down to the basement, which was the one bomb site that they won back in round number 8. And then round 12, they'll have a really difficult decision. Do they go back to the top floor, often thought of as the best bomb site on the map, where they've already lost twice? Or do they go risky and try to go for armory and weapon? that'll have to be a decision that gets made later. You can't focus too far ahead, one round at a time. This one's going to start with a cyber spawn peek, but doesn't find much luck.
I was going to say, that is a real brazen play here. If you can do that to get yourself around, you're in an excellent spot. And Cyber, as a player, is the one to gamble it with how he's been playing today. But it's a double-edged sword. If he fails, you lose your best offensive threat on the side of FaZe Clan, and you have 2 minutes and 40 seconds at that point of surviving with mostly support players, though I will give credit to both Vidiking and Handy, who've been able to stand up against Furia pretty effectively over the last couple rounds. Vidiking in particular has excelled since swapping sides, which shouldn't surprise anybody. I mean, he's on shield duty on attack. His kills on attack are never going to be very good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was after the upper bracket finals where Vidiking tweeted, "You talk too much, JV92." Clearly, JV has not taken that to heart, and he is still talking, I would say, even more than what we saw in the upper bracket finals, as they are winning a lot more, and that tends to come with more type. Bird's taking a really risky swing there. He saw KDS's mirror window, which could have resulted in a swing from the FaZe Clan player, but KDS opts not to go for it. Again, breaking this nut of our 6 room at the top floor above the bomb site is really tricky. You've got to do it slow. You got to do it cautiously. You've got to do it together. Fury are very much aware of that. So as they start to clear through this utility, expect a burst of action to come through sometime in the next 90 seconds before they hit site.
Nade will trade out Cyber, and he dies in the process. Again, it's the player that matters. FaZe Clan losing one of their best threats, and now it's KDS trying to hit anything. He's got multiple targets presented in front of him, but a struggle is real. A beautiful shot on the Herds, posting up now, and another to be found. A third was within his grasp, but it slips. JV92 and KZ are the last two that remain for Furia. FaZe Clan with an advantage of 1, and they've all got great weaponry to deal with this. Shotguns in hand for 2/3 of the remaining defenders, SMGs in pocket for them, and a Vector in the hands of Handy. I'll take the weapons on these defenders over the attackers any day of the week. All they need to do, Jesse, is play smart, play safe, and play those corners and let Furia come to them.
Yeah, and I mean, they still have to get to the bomb site, too. If this top floor clear doesn't go their way, I mean, there are plenty more steps for Furia to take. They will now peel off the top floor and head straight to the site, so this plant's going to be really awkward with total vertical control of FaZe.
Still winnable for Furia, but this is a tough fight. KZ now getting diffuser down as JV92 watches over top, but there's no intel as to where these remaining defenders are going to come from. Jmot Mine, it seems like, goes off. It's triggered, and JV92 is a bit disoriented. Diffuser goes down successfully. Vidiking picked apart, and now a drop for Handy into the site. He'll have to walk through the door, being watched by 2 pairs of eyes on the side of Furia. All the while, Souls is picked off, and they somehow manage to turn it around and win SAL. Your champions, Furia, destroying FaZe in a quick 2-0.
And KZ does it with his first plant of the stage as well. I mean, nobody would have expected an ending like that, but Furia aren't known to fall to expectations. What a ridiculous final round for them to walk away from. Felt like everything was in the advantage of FaZe Clan, but that's never stopped Furia before. They're once again, for the first time since 2022, champions of South America. They feel very good about that big win, getting a huge revenge game over their rivals of FaZe Clan. They will meet again many times, both domestically and internationally, but today it is Furia that win the day.
Oh my, it's always a special match when these two tussle with each other, whether it's on their home soil with an international crowd or here in the first stage of the new South America League. The newly merged league will retain the records and carry over from the old BR6 before it, but technically you can say the first South America League champs are Furia. Yes, the graphic shown earlier showed all the different Brazilian teams that have won this trophy over the years, but this is a new league technically, just as the EUL no longer exists. It's the EML now. There are new records to be made and broken. There are new teams to win the championships, and there are new stories to be written. And Furia has just finished their chapter in what hopefully will be a long book for this region. I mean, both of these teams prove that they deserve to be here. FaZe had an off day today, and unfortunately for them, they do give up not just the championship, but also those SI points that are on the line. The desk talked about this, Jesse. There aren't a lot of opportunities to get SI points this year. FaZe Clan are going to be frustrated with this one, but they seem to be all smiles during the handshake line. A massive victory from Furia as they are crowned the SAL champs.
I think it's the best rivalry in Siege, Parker, when we see these two Titans clash, go head-to-head with one another. Furia, as you mentioned, taking the lion's share of SI points, so very high chance that we'll see them in Paris. It'll take a few months to get that locked in, but things are looking very good for Furia fans to attend yet another international event. Something tells me FaZe Clan will be right there with them, but they'll still have to earn it. A ways to go still on that journey. Both teams playing absolutely incredible throughout this stage. Today, Furia just happened to be the better team.
And a little tidbit about this Furia team. They are undefeated in championship games in Siege X. They won Reload, and now they get to the championship game in their own region, and they beat FaZe Clan as well. A perfect 2 for 2 with the new game of Siege X in front of us. I was kind of hoping that for our very final match of this stage, we would get something maybe a bit more competitive, because even though it only went to 2 maps, FaZe Clan wasn't even competitive in any of those maps. It's not like we got 8-7, 8-7. No. We got Furia dominating and then Furia dominating, which just, I guess, sets the scene for Furia's downfall to be even sweeter for their haters in the future. That's it for Jesse and I, but we've got 3 great gents looking to talk about the championship now that's been won by Furia.
We set aside an entire Sunday to give grace to what is probably one of the best rivalries in Siege in the current era, but we didn't even need to get through 2 hours before Furia claimed the title of inaugural South American League champions. For the first time since 2022, this team manages to claim a domestic championship. They fought through a lower bracket, they fought through NIP, they managed to get revenge against FaZe Clan after they just lost to them yesterday, and the head-to-head be damned. No matter when it's in a championship context, it always feels like somehow Furia just has FaZe's number, and that's all she wrote as far as this stage is concerned, Jack. That was exquisite stuff from Furia all around today.
Yeah, exquisite is the perfect word for it. I think the reaction was excellent from what was actually ultimately a really tricky day yesterday. They lost against FaZe yesterday. They should have lost against NIP yesterday. They come all the way through, and today is a new day. They play their own brand of Siege, they play their dominant brand of Siege, and they obliterated FaZe. I don't think realistically anybody saw that coming. Yes, we could see a world where Furia would win in a best of 3, but a straight 2-0, not even close maps. For me, that was not even on my bingo card.
Yeah, that was a night and day difference. And I must say, night and day difference, not only because of the match they lost against FaZe, but like you said, the match they faced against NIP, that match, they did not look good. They did not look confident. And today we saw the real Furia, the Furia that won Reload, the Furia that's dominating. And I will say this, I think mainly because of one thing. Yes, there is hurts popping off, but those individuals, they've always been there. The main thing that I will want to praise here is the team play, the coordination in some of these rounds. One example, when these guys are clearing double Mira setups on observation, they won't shy away from that. They actually cleared it. That double setup two rounds later, when they send the Amaru in and Herds goes in and gets the double trade, that's the small kind of collaboration that we were waiting to see from these guys. And now it was perfect. It was strategy, it was cool team play, and it was incredible individual prowess. And that's the Furia that we know and love, and that's why they deserve to be South American champions. What a crazy run throughout the lower bracket. I'm all here for it.
For the final time this stage, let's drag in the man we've been talking to for these past couple of playdays on Furia's side. Let's bring in Igor one more time to just go over the championship game logistics about how they managed to pull this off. Igor, we thought we were probably going to see you in the interviewer's chair again. It happened. So first off, congratulations. The job is finally done. You're stage 1 champions. Just as a broad question, how does it feel now that the 6 weeks of the South American League are finally over and now you stand on top?
So we are very happy. This is something new for us because we won majors, invitational, but here in Brazil we never won. But feel very, very good. Beat FaZe in Brazil, and that's it. Now we have time to celebrate and do our preparation for win the AWC.
Igor, one of the main reasons that I thought that you went on this big run in the playoffs was Herds. What changed in him between the regular league stage and then the playoffs?
So I told to him because in the past he had bad moments. He focused on him, and now I told for him focus on the team because we won a reload. We are playing good, so your time it's come. So basically that, and in the playoffs, Herds appear and help us a lot for win the South America League.
And then just one follow-up question, and it's about Herds again. What is there a story behind the fact that he's wearing JV's Furia jersey? Because it says JV on his back, right?
It's because he forgot his jersey, only about that.
Classic.
I saw it when you were celebrating and I had to know.
Igor, first of all, congratulations. I mean, you guys played amazing today. We said it just now. Maybe you heard it. It was a night and day difference between yesterday and today. What did you guys change in the span of one night to come and 2-0 phase?
So I think yesterday we fear phase, and today we play more confident. We knew what they going to do, and we play our game. So that's it. And today we won some important gunfights, and yesterday we lost all of this. And in a game so close, when you are against a good team like FaZe, we need to win these gunfights. And today we play very, very well, and they play a little bad, but that's it. We are champion.
Do you think that you guys going through the whole lower bracket and maybe playing more matches and overcoming more obstacles has actually fueled that confidence in the grand finals?
Yes, this helped a lot, but in the same side, we are very tired to play today because our last game yesterday at 9 p.m. I think, and today we are little tired, but that's it. We could manage that and win against FaZe.
One last question for you before we send you off to what the activities you're going to do over the summer and then the preparation for stage 2 later. How much does this mean for you to finally cross the finish line domestically? Like you said, it's been invitationals, it's been majors, but the last time that there's been a championship for the W7M Furia Core, it's been about 3 years at this point. So for you to finally get over the hurdle, especially over FaZe, who have won a lot of championships domestically, how much does that mean to you and the guys to finally get over that speed bump?
So for us, FaZe in Brazil, it's like a boss, You need to beat them to be the best in Brazil because they are a very good team. But here in Brazil, they play very, very well. It's very difficult. And we won the South America League, but we beat them in the finals. So means a lot for us and for me too. But right now we need to focus on AWC because it's an important championship and we don't have this trophy yet.
Still the opportunity right in front of you, man. You know exactly what it takes. And you already have one trophy under your belt this year, so you might as well go and rack up some more. Again, congratulations. And I'm just going to speak for everybody who's been on desks with you so far. The English has gotten so good, man. The interviews are phenomenal. You're doing fantastic with this. So thank you so much for jumping on these interviews with us, man. It really does mean a lot.
Thank you so much, guys. And I hope improving my English to talk to you guys in the events and interviews. And that's it. Thank you a lot.
Doing a great job, man. Furia are the champions of the South American League for Stage 1, and as much as I would love to be able to dive into even more analysis for it, I feel like it's just better to observe the fact that Furia may very well be back to their dominant ways, or it might just be a FaZe one-off having a bad day, but it kind of doesn't matter because now it means Furia is back on top where some would say they belong. It's just taken a long time for them to finally win a domestic championship, Jack, so it's got to feel so good.
Yeah, it absolutely has. Anytime you win, anytime you're the king of the hill, it's going to feel incredible. Unfortunately, me and Leo didn't really feel that too much across either of our careers, to be honest, but I'm sure it feels great for these guys.
Nice for the stray bullet, Jack. Thank you. I was not expecting that one.
No problem, Neil. No problem. The one thing that I will say, just to your point there, Jacob, was it Furia back? Was it FaZe on an off day? And I think it was a little bit of both. Just coming specifically on Furia, I think Furia are very often masters of their own destiny, but maybe also masters of their own downfall from time to time. And it's when Furia play well, they generally will beat anybody on the face of the earth. And it's just been a little bit inconsistent. I think maybe it's a little bit to do with mentals, concentration, all those kind of words that you can throw out because they are so high performing and have been for so long. But today they really were. They knew what they had to do today. They turned up and they executed that game plan. And it was night and day difference from that game against FaZe yesterday.
Yeah, there were a couple examples of that. I think the very last round, for example, was one of those where FaZe usually would collapse on the two last remaining guys together, and they didn't. And I think that's one of the things, one of the small signs of weakness. FaZe is usually perfect in almost every stages of a round. And there were some small mistakes, some timing, some misplays or miscoordination that, of course, cost them rounds. But it's only because Furia was playing so well that they got punished. And I think by far, the MVP for me, once again, it has to be Hurts. I think, like Igor said, I think it's not about him focusing on himself. It's about him focusing on how he can enable his teammates or play off his teammates. That one round where they send KZ on Amaru through the window in observation, KZ knows he's there to die, but Hurts swings, gets a first kill, and gets the trade. And that's the Hurts that we wanted. That's a 2-4-1. That's him playing for the team and using his fragging power to do that. And today, he was stellar, but I think throughout the whole playoffs, he was also incredible, and that's going to be the line effect for him.
I think our friends in production might have been reading your mind because you were just talking about that last round overall. That I think that might just be play of the day. I think that's what they wanted to highlight, just because if you wanted what a microcosm for a series might look like, then this is probably it. Our Predator play of the day, unsurprisingly, is the point, the round that won Furia the inaugural SAL championship. Leo, any other thoughts on this round?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was a 2v4 initially, right? And then JV gets the kill. But look at this. This 1v1 from Vita King, that's a mistake that we don't see usually. Souls1 takes a 1v1 on JV. KZ takes another 1v1. That was basically, instead of a 3v2, when one player is planting, they waited till Furia planted to come and deny the round, and then they just did 1v1s. And that's what I don't understand here. We're going to see it again, Jack, and you can talk through it. But that's my main mistakes here. First of all, when one guy is planting, why is no one collapsing together? And then here, why is Vita King taking that 1v1?
It's particularly uncharacteristic, I think, from FaZe Clan when they've got control of a round to let it go. It was almost like they didn't have information that the plant was going down, or maybe they knew the plant was going down, but they didn't know where, so they were looking in the default plant spots down their vertical holes that they'd already made. I'm not entirely sure, and like you say, then when the plant does go down, what we're used to seeing from FaZe Clan is a regrouping, go together. And you get the Vita King, he has the 1 versus 1, and then you give 2 separate 1v1s. So I completely agree, Leo, but what I will say from a Fury perspective, that's 2 of the players that are not necessarily used to seeing in the late round, managing to pull off a 2 versus 3. That was KZ and JV. That's not going to be your full epochs and nades of the world. So even from a Fury perspective, the fact that they had that in their arsenal today to just pull out a round out of absolutely thin air. They found a gap, they exploited that gap, and it won them the championship.
Well, stage 1 is now officially wrapped. All 6 regions are done, all champions have been crowned, all SI points have been distributed, and there really isn't all that much left to say other than whatever you two would like to say as final words before we sign off for the first half of the 2025 regular season. Jack, anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
Honestly, it's just been a pleasure watching Brazil and South America League in general. It's not just Brazil, of course. We do have Argentinians and the rest of South America in there as well. I've not covered it before, so I was very happy to watch Brazil domestically, South America domestically. I'm going to keep tripping over my own words there. And yeah, it's curious to see these teams when they play domestically, because it's a very different product what they put out domestically to the ones that we see at international events. And I've always been bullish on Furia as well, Leo. I know you supported some of the underdogs. I've always believed in them. So I was very happy and proud for them that they got over the line.
Yeah, I will echo that. I just love to be able to watch SAL. It's the first time for me as well as doing it together. And I will say this, it was a pleasure doing it with you, Jacob, for sure. It was the first time that we were working together on a broadcast. And overall with ACL, I just loved watching this region. Obviously, it's the best region in the world. We saw so much innovation on CJX. I think the reaction to the hard reach bans, for example, is one of them. The use of Clash in many different ways was one of them as well. I love to watch this region being innovative and to see Furia go back to their level after reload and beat FaZe. I think that's just cherry on the top. Honestly, cherry on the cake. I just loved it.
Brazil continues to be one of the most innovative leagues in Rainbow Six, and also, for the moment, continues to be the top league. So the fact that we were able to cover it in the same depth with South America for the first time means a lot, because seeing what this region is able to produce year in and year out is still some of the most extraordinary stuff. And also, same thing goes to you, Leo. The fact that we dodged each other on broadcast for 5 years, I don't know how we did it, but it's good to finally get that one over the line. That's it. We're done. We're all wrapped up for stage 1, which means the next time you're going to see us around stage 2, that's in a couple of months, but we'll get through that and the rest of our summer activities over the next couple of weeks. For all of us here, Milos, Foxe, Laxing, Ace, Dez, Demo, Fluke, Intero, Jesse, Alfama, Fresh, and our entire production team in Sao Paulo, I'm Caliber Jacobs saying so long and take care.
You know how they say it's not the destination, it's the journey?
And the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And you know what?
They're right. it.